Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Molweni. Njani? Nam Diapil. Colleagues, welcome back to our last day of the program, the second day. Yesterday was very insightful, very fruitful. I think that there was lots, even afterwards at the cocktail, people discussed, some of the topics that came up. It stood out for them during the program yesterday, which I think is wonderful because clearly people took some value out of yesterday's program. And also, I think that is the whole idea of having these kind of sessions at Mace is for us to benchmark, it's to discuss, it's to exchange ideas, to implement things that could possibly work at your institution that is maybe not working somewhere else, and develop fit-for-purpose systems or strategies that could work for you. And I think those are the discussions that happened last night during the course of the day. And when I heard that, it was really fulfilling, because then it means that definitely we are achieving something, and as long as the delegates are happy. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, today we will have one of our specialist presentations. We have with us Ms. Nonkululeko Piche. In short, Nonku, that is how she likes to be known or referred to. But let me give a brief introduction of Nonku. Nonku is the Chief Growth Officer at Discovery Health, Head of Group Strategic Client Solutions Hub. Nonku is the Chief, I did read that part. She is an Executive Director on the Discovery Health Board and serves as a member of the Discovery Health Executive Committee and the South African Executive Committee. She leads the expansion of Discovery Health into new markets and the growth of Discovery business-to-business strategy, focused on building value-adding employer solutions to support and improve the health and wellness of their employees. Nonku is a seasonal leader with over 20 years experience in solving business problems across varied functional business areas. She is driven by the need to meaningfully make a difference in her organization, colleagues, clients, and the country. She's passionate about being a force for social good by contributing to the economic inclusion of those currently systematically excluded people in our country. Nonku believes that leading in business and leading people is a privilege, and that because of this privilege, every day she learns, she changes, and she grows. Ladies and gentlemen, Nonku for you.
Thank you, Sylvanus. Good morning, everyone. It is such a privilege to be here today. Sylvanus said a lot of words about Nonku, but Nonku's hardest job right now is being a mom of two teenagers, a 12-year-old girl and a 14-year-old girl. I know nothing, they know everything. It is super difficult, and I know those of you who've gone through this or are currently going through this will be praying for me today. I guess today I stand in front of you less sort of from a marketing or communication or sort of a stakeholder management perspective, but rather just from a business leadership perspective. And what I wanted to do is almost give you the perspective that says, as I guess a colleague and a leader at an executive table today, how does marketing and communication, stakeholder management, advancement actually work with us? And when I say work with us, work with business in order to achieve business goals. And really that's what matters. It actually doesn't matter that there are a million different initiatives within the business or projects. The question that we should all be asking ourselves is it hitting the bottom line and doing what it's meant to be doing? So that's sort of how I stand in front of you. Just to give you a sense, on our exco table, whether you're talking about our business exco or the South African exco table, the chief marketing officer sits at that exco table to try and help us solve business problems. And in that sense, he's becoming also a business owner as opposed to just a marketing and communications lead within our business. And for me, that's sort of the construct I would like to bring to you today. So when I told the team I'm going to university, these are very smart people that work with very smart people daily in academia. They came up with a formula, which to try and make me look just as smart. But actually, this was from the actuarial team. But actually, this formula does really try to convey what we're trying to talk about today in terms of what is meaningful business impact, leveraging marketing, communication, and investment as sort of key pillars. And for us, we see it in sort of two different ways. The first one is, if you look at the bottom there, ME, for us, that's marketing essentials. That's the kind of thing that you are well versed at, 1,000,000 times better than what I am. So these are the bread and butter things in terms of from cradle to grave, the marketing strategy, processes, etc. But critical today, which is completely different to, I think, how things were done before, is that you are not able to do this without a couple of components that really amplify what a marketing and communication strategy will do in a particular case or in a particular initiative that a business is driving. And we wanted to take you through some of our thinking. So for us, we think that is meaningful innovation, that is purpose and needs-led, where partnerships are strategically leveraged, and importantly, that the experience of all players is brilliant. And I'm going to try to give you a sense of what I mean through this presentation. So if we start on marketing essentials, I'll spend exactly 3 seconds on this slide because you know this slide better than I do. It just really says, what are the key pillars that we go through, whether when we're going through a marketing piece or a communication piece? What is critical is how do you take that stuff and turn it into magic? And we think that the first thing that you do is you always start with meaningful innovation. And we thought to give you a sense of what we think is meaningful innovation, not in our own house, but in somebody else's house, would take you through a video.
Toothbrushes have been sold the same way for the last 213 years. But we discovered that toothbrushes have an unexpected place in African youth culture. So, as the experts on brushes, we created Colgate New Gen. 3 new custom editions tailor-made for African youth. Edge brush. Lay those baby hairs. With a fresh, hair-parting pick and ultra-smooth bristles.
Wow. The brush is good for the baby hair. The rat tail is good for separating the hair to give a good look.
I love it. It's so soft.
Kick brush. Oh yeah. Keep those kicks looking fresh. With soft bristles and an extra firm grip.
Looks like a shoelace. This is really nice. Bristles work really well. Can really get into those tight spots.
Game brush. Stay fresh on every level. With a 30-degree angled head to keep that gaming gear Colgate clean.
Very cool. Fits nicely between the keys. You can see it's getting right in between there. The WASD, otherwise known as the Doritos traps.
Repackaged in recycled and biodegradable packaging. We dropped New Gen into culture at the source.
What? That's so cool!
That's the game changer for my controllers.
This is the future. If you're not on this, you slip it.
It's not a toothbrush. It's an accessory to your console.
This should have been done like a while ago.
Oh my goodness!
This is 1,000,000 times better than a toothbrush.
Let's go!
And it has never been in my mouth.
If you see a kick brush anywhere, get it.
For Colgate Palmolive, this is the first step into the booming sneaker, gaming, and hair industries.
Isn't that kick-ass? Literally. And I mean, if you think about it, this industry is, and forgive my words, but it was really tired, right? You use toothbrushes in one way all the time. And so for an organization to really imagine, it had to be meaningful innovation. And it is, because this morning I tried to brush my edges. with one of these. Doesn't look as well, as good, if it's not done by a professional. But honestly speaking, this is the way we've been using brushes all the time. I've got a brush for my edges and I've got a brush for my eyebrows, but nobody had been creating it. So really for us, a real excellent example that goes through, one, there's a need. The need, people were doing it with their sneakers way before Colgate did it. The second is, how do you find meaningful partnerships? Meaningful partnerships, one, that elevate the experience and gets that toothbrush to, or rather, the kicks brush to the best kick brush, is by finding the people that have the kicks. And so it's really elevated the experience, but also elevates the value proposition for both the brush as well as Nike and Colgate. And finally, the experience. I think you could see how delighted the audience was. So that's just sort of trying to demonstrate what is meaningful innovation. We mustn't innovate for the sake of innovating, but we must innovate for the sake of progress. So if I move this along slightly and talk about purpose and need, I thought what would be excellent is now to go back into our own house. So Discovery is a brilliant story, and I don't say it because I work for Discovery. It became more brilliant as I entered the doors, but Adrian Gord did his part at some point. No, but more importantly, Zonke and I have a colleague, Zonke, over there. Zonke and I work for Discovery, and I think we can both attest that it's really a purpose-led organization. Everything we do goes back to purpose. Are we making people healthier, enhancing and protecting their lives? And I'll tell you a story. During COVID, I mean, I had not seen this at play as magnified as it was, but I remember that as a business leadership structure, especially at the South African Exco level, we met on an ongoing basis, and it was never to talk about what might be good for business. It was always to talk about how do we contribute to, at a country level, what do we do in terms of our members, and what do we do in terms of our employees. And so we came up as an example with things like, can we send power banks or backup power to employees at home? Can we help employees that need to come in and pay for their house train? We used to pay for parking, which really used to grind every employee, but we got rid of sort of the parking fees to help people financially during that time. So really always thinking about what can we do to make people healthier, enhance and protect their lives. And a powerful purpose will carry you always, right? Organizations that have a powerful purpose will be relevant today, tomorrow, and in 1 million years' time. Because in our case, no one, if you're not alive, you really, life is the most important thing. And I think COVID put that into absolute focus for us. But anyways, this is sort of our timeline. The reason we talk about this timeline is because purpose has driven the right purpose and need in the market, has driven the right type of innovation. And it's meant that there's been spectacular growth. So if you go with me sort of from left to right, we started in sort of in the height of sort of the political, I'm going to say unrest in the country, because that was the time where the political prisoners were going to be released, etc. It's an easy time for people to want to run away. But, you know, that's almost, somebody said, do not waste a good crisis. It's during those times that you can come up with the best possible solutions and really shine and bring positivity and optimism into a space. And that's sort of when Discovery was born and started. With the political headwinds, today everybody, as an example, has a medical aid with a medical savings account. Does anybody have a traditional medical aid here? No. So everyone has a medical savings account. That was the birth child, believe it or not. I know my mom had a medical aid where everything was included, but that was the birth child of Discovery Health, the medical savings account, and it's become ubiquitous. It's like how when you go buy toothpaste, you say, I go buy Colgate, because everybody has a medical savings account. And it was created at a time when we needed to create inclusivity, but in creating inclusivity, we needed to also make it cost effective. And so that's when it was born. With that birth, there's been multiple other births. The launch of Vitality. For those of you who don't know Vitality, Vitality is the leading behavioral change model, actually globally, and has been acclaimed as such in many countries around the world and in many articles, etc. But Vitality came from a simple desire. The desire that said, could we make people even healthier, and what does it mean? This is before there was a link between sort of healthy behavior and mortality, etc. It was, can we continue on the purpose of making people healthier and what that would mean? We since have launched Discovery Life, Discovery Invest, Discovery Bank, Discovery Card, etc. All of them underpinned by one simple question. Are people becoming healthier? Are we enhancing and protecting their lives? You may say, what does bank have to do with enhancing lives? It's financial well-being. There are 3 pillars that matter in well-being: physical well-being, emotional well-being, and financial well-being. And so the bank has infused in itself the whole notion of the healthier you are in terms of your banking, the more will reward you. And because Vitality has taught us that rewards can play a very powerful role in how people change their behavior, we're using it across the board. We also, as an example, in the banking chassis, will have where we can see that somebody's patterns are moving in the wrong direction. We'll intervene, but not just intervene. We'll intervene from a rewards perspective, but also from a rehabilitation perspective. We've got things like healthy couples courses, because we know if you're a couple, you're not going to change your finances by yourself. And once you've done that course, which we'll provide to you for free, we know that you have what you need in order for you to rehabilitate and sort of change. So always, always underpinned by purpose. What this has done for us is that building these solutions and building sort of this mindset around making people healthier, enhancing and protecting their lives has meant that we've got real assets that are exportable around the globe. It's a really warm and fuzzy feeling for me to be able to show the slide. It's a really, for me, powerful slide, because we're a South African-born company, and it's so important, actually, for optimism, and it's so important for sort of future-looking and saying, we've invested here, and this investment is paying dividend 100 times over. And I'm not talking about financial dividend. I'm actually talking about brand, about South Africa as a country. And you can see that we've been 31 years, we're 31 years old. We're now in over 40 markets globally. We cover and impact over 30 million lives in this space. And we have, in terms of the programs we run, we impact about 150 million people. It really is staggering numbers for a small company that was born in South Africa. And I'll tell you what's led to this growth. It's not brilliance in terms of product. It's always because we've been solving the need of how to make people healthier, enhance and protect their lives in everything that we've done. And so actually, a lot of our expansion has not been, or partnership, has been partners asking us to partner with them in order to bring, in particular, Vitality as a model and a tool that will help improve their own books. So a good example for me is AIA, the biggest insurer in Asia, probably one of the biggest insurers globally. Every country in Asia, they focus on life insurance. And what's happened there is we've got a business called Amplify Together, where we are a shareholder within that business. I can tell you we didn't pay for that shareholding cash. We paid for that shareholding with our IP, which is the Vitality IP. Because if Vitality can do what Vitality is supposed to do, which is make people healthier, the impact from an insurance perspective, especially a life insurance book, in terms of improving mortality, in terms of getting people to live longer, decreasing disability claims, would be staggering for that business. So I think I've labored the point, but always drive from a point of purpose. The other thing for us in terms of innovation, from a discovery perspective, is that innovation for us is completely forced. We don't think that people innovate because they want to innovate. It's a really difficult thing to do, to wake up in the morning and like, today I'm going to come up with some bright ideas. It really is tough. And unless you force innovation, you actually don't innovate at the pace and the rate that you could innovate, and you actually don't get close enough to the needs of your target audience the way you should be getting. And so let me explain. In our business, we have 2 launches. that force a natural innovation cycle. We have a September launch, which is a big launch, and during that launch, we go the extra mile, not only to solve basic problems, but to say, how can we wow our customers, and our customers being our members. So that's number one. That forces us naturally to work from January to August feverishly around innovation. Our innovation cycle is actually, our innovation process is actually a brilliant iterative cycle. We sit once a week as an R&D committee led by the R&D team. It includes the CEO, includes a few of us that own different parts of the business, and every single week, the R&D team comes into a room, and when they come into that room, they're coming with different ideas. Some of those ideas are thrown out, some of them are like, you're onto something, but work some more. So continuously, we learn fast, we fail fast, we iterate. By the time we get to that September launch, we've gone through 1 million ideas and refined a few very powerful ideas. And so the innovation is forced by that September launch. The market expects it, our clients expect it, our advisors and brokers expect it, and so we build up to it, and we make sure that we build great product. We have a second innovation cycle, which happens around March, April. It's a smaller launch, but again, it just gets us into the mindset and keeps us in the mindset of innovation. So the one thing that we've learned is that innovation must be systemic in your business, or it won't happen as robustly and as frequently as it should. If you look at this slide, what you'll see is that what is brilliant about our industry, and your industry it probably is the same, is that we have quite a lot of challenges. We deal with the regulator, like everybody deals with a regulator within our business, because we have from life insurance to health insurance to investments, etc. It's multiple regulators. That always means that something is going to change, and when it does, it usually hurts, and you have to think differently about what you're going to do. So having what we look at these as is not as just challenges, it's really opportunities to get ahead, to think differently, to really be a market leader. The other thing, and you'll see it at the bottom here, is that our products are almost intangible. Insurance is not tangible, really. And it's mostly a grad purchase, unfortunately. You know, people are like, I bought it, but I've never used it, or I'm not using it. Actually, we should say, thank God I don't have to use my medical aid, you know, that sort of thing. But because it's intangible, we've got to create ways for people to feel like they're continuously getting value and they're touching and feeling it. And again, that's a big part of us going out there to innovate. The last thing maybe to point out on the left-hand side is that while we have a big organization and proportionally we hire, while we have a big organization, we proportionally hire more R&D and data people and marketing people than we do of the broader base, and from a proportionality perspective, obviously not from a totals numbers perspective. And that's because the bias to continuous change, innovation, and pulling ahead is completely important and critical in our space. So we thought maybe how we bring it alive for you, and that's a very busy slide, so I'll talk through it carefully, but we wanted to bring it alive for you with an example of taking all of those things and putting together. What is meaningful innovation? What is meaningful innovation when you put it together with purpose and need, and you make sure that you partner with the right people to give the absolute best experience while you're underpinned by marketing essentials. And COVID is ubiquitous to all of us. We thought that's a good example. So COVID arrives. I remember when it arrived, we were at a like a strat session offside. We're like, it's going to be a light thing. It's going to pass quickly. We're going to sort it out. I think all of us were in that space. And then like a year later, it's like, what is happening? But thank God, we're where we are today. So when this came for us, the first thing was we went back to purpose. What here is our role to do in order to support this? And I just want to show you the robustness. This innovation probably happened in a period of 3 months. So usually our innovation cycles are a year for a big launch, every 6 months for a smaller launch. In 3 months, this was the amount of innovation that came through. And innovation, I mean, I guess like the crisis forced sort of the innovation and the success. So in the first instance, and hopefully you'll remember some of these instances or some of these initiatives. In the first instances, how do you keep calm? right? All of us are currently discussing the NHI. If we all went out and said, oh my God, the NHI is going to destroy, that is correct. You have to be able to educate, clearly communicate, be a center of calmness. And so we took a role and we actually appointed people within the business that became the external sort of voice. If you were on 702 or you're in ENCN or you whatever news outlet, you had Discovery, hopefully being a voice of reason. I remember my mom used to say, that Noach guy was also on the TV again, that Noach guy. Noach is Ryan Noach, Dr. Ryan Noach, who's the CEO of Discovery Health. And she always said, when that Noach guy is on the TV, my mom, by the way, is an anti-vaxxer, complete anti-vaxxer, but that Noach guy gave her comfort. That Noach guy, he said it's going to be okay. We're not going to deal with this. So we did an array of things, including making sure that Ryan was front and center in terms of some of the communication that was going out. We had another man called Dr. Ron Whelan. We had Dr. Nulu Tando. And they really played a central role in terms of the messaging out there. We had a portal immediately we went beyond our members. It wasn't about Discovery Health and Discovery Health members. It was about what can we do for the population. So we had a central hub of information that was curated and updated on the hourly basis as information came that anyone could use in the country. For our individual members, where we had the data, we segmented our members. We found the members with comorbidities, which is sorry, I mustn't speak just our speak, but comorbidities will be like your chronic conditions. And you'll remember during COVID, those were the ones that are most predisposed to sort of major illness. So diabetes, high cholesterol, gout, hypertension, etc. We found those members, we segmented them, we send them individualized letters to say, this is what's happening to you. We send them what we call an oximeter, because the oximeter checks your blood oxygen, and we know that when blood oxygen drops below a certain level, then we're really in trouble. And you don't feel it when it's happening, so you feel it when it's too late. So we told you that you were at high risk. We told you what we were going to give to you. And then when the vaccines came, we put you in the front of the line in order to get that vaccine. So just to give you a sense of the kind of innovation, the use of data analytics in order to support employers. We also came up with, in fact, that was Zonke's work, but we launched a COVID business support, because as a business, and if you take your own institution as a business, it was about how do we work through this and get through this. And we got for them like an A to Z toolkit where we manage sort of their COVID journey. How do you get screened? When somebody is COVID positive, how do we give you reports to tell you how they're progressing in the healthcare system? You don't have to be in the healthcare system. We'll tell you who's in hospital, we'll tell you who's COVID positive, we'll tell you how many people. How do we do contact tracing, and how do we reintroduce those people back into the workplace? And so we built a whole product just to support employers in terms of how to do this. And then if you move to sort of the middle part, is we were integral in terms of working with government. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, and Adrian would probably frown upon me sharing some of this stuff. But in terms of securing stock for the country, we were critical. I mean, it was hard, I think, as a South African company to sit back and do nothing. So there was that work. So we actually injected some of our leaders. Some of you may know Dr. Jonathan Broomberg. He used to be a CEO of Discovery Health. He's now a CEO of Vitality Health International. He's currently in London, but he's well-versed, he's well-known and respected, and he's a health economist as well. So we injected them in order to help at the national level in terms of the response, and not just Discovery. Many organizations did that. You'll remember the COVID app. For those of you who downloaded the COVID app, if you were exposed to someone, you would get a ping, SMS that said you're exposed to someone. Our developers worked on that for the national response, for the government, and so forth and so on. So I won't go too far down the line. But the key here is that at the heart of it was, can we enhance and protect lives? And what did it mean? It didn't mean, this time it didn't mean our members. It meant, what do we do at a national level? What do we do for all people in South Africa? And then what do we do for our own employees? This was the best marketing we have ever done. I mean, it was obviously wrapped up with marketing, smart communication, but not to market our company, to actually market the tools, the opportunities to support. And because we're just doing the right thing and wrapping it around with the best marketing minds and the best communication minds, it did amazing things for us. In terms of our actual brand, the brand appreciation grew by 26% in 1 year, and would argue probably the best lift we've ever gotten as an organization. So to summarize, before I give you a flavor of what some of this thing looked at, how some of these things were received by sort of the population, is on one side we had a vaccine program. We vaccinated over 4.3 million. 4.3 million people were vaccinated, and we're central to that. We supported business, because if you don't support business, the country will crumble. The private sector is critical. And then where it made sense, we also supported the public sector. And in fact, I think COVID is the best example of public-private partnership that we've seen in this country in a very long time. So if I can just, before I show you the video, let me close with the slide. This man became famous. When you saw him, you started to breathe. It's gonna be okay. I mean, we worked with him so closely. We put him in front of people on webinars, our own staff members. We put him in front of the public because he became one of the key faces in terms of response and a trusted voice in the country. But you'll recognize some and all of these brands playing a role. For us, we worked with Prof very closely. We worked with the government very closely. With Vodacom, we provided free virtual consults for anybody in the country. Because people couldn't get to the doctor, we said for free, for anybody who needs to use it, on your mobile, you can have a free virtual consult. We're quite disappointed. I don't know if we did a good enough job of it, but this service wasn't taken up as much as we thought it would have been taken up during that time. But we partnered with Vodacom to do that. Vodacom was doing it for free, 0 rated, which was incredible. And then I'll show you some of the partnerships. Outsurance is a client on one end, but a competitor for us on another end, but we worked with them. And then a few other things. Oh, the Capital, we worked with the Capital for isolation wards. We did like isolation rooms at the Capital that we funded from medical scheme funds, co-funded with members. And then we worked with people like Virgin Active in terms of how we can support people. And the way we supported people was actually gym at home, but Virgin Active curated the content for people to then access it on their mobile devices, on their screens, and gym at home. And from a Vitality perspective, we actually gave you rewards. We paid you to stay at home. So that if you gym at home, if you don't drive your car, because we've got an insurance pillar as well, if you don't drive your car, we give you even greater rewards. So I hope you can see sort of the galvanization of all of these things and all of the different pieces, the critical marketing, the critical communication elements. But maybe to just show you how this was received by one of our clients, stroke competitors, stroke just corporate citizens in this country. The volume, please.
I'm here at the Outsurance Mass Vaccination Center at our head office in Centurion, where we are vaccinating our staff and their spouses. Discovery's been good enough to set up the center for us at our offices. It's the first workplace mass vaccination site in South Africa, and I proudly say that I've just had my vaccination done. As of early this morning we started, and to date we've vaccinated more than 100 people. I must say the process is very slick. It's working very well. The professional setup from the staff, the nursing staff, as well as the people from Discovery has been fantastic. And I can only encourage every single Outsurance staff member, as well as their spouses, to please make use of this facility.
Outsurance is a pro-vaccine company. We believe that vaccines are our only way of getting back to normal, and we're extremely excited at this prospect of allowing staff to get vaccinated on site. We encourage all outies to please get vaccinated. We have a safe process. The vaccines have been proven to be safe now and they've been properly tested, and we want to encourage people to be vaccinated.
Now, we couldn't have asked for a better ad from our competitor. We had nothing to do with that ad, by the way, nothing. I actually got it from a broker who works with Outsurance who said, this is what is being done. All we did was provide the facility, the mass vaccination site. There were a huge amount of hurdles to jump because you were not allowed to do your own vaccination site, and this was right at the beginning. But there is no better marketing that you can get. As an example, as UJ standing up and saying, Wits University has done X, Y, Z. Bringing it into your own space. But that's actually what happened, because Wits University in this case would have been doing the right thing for UJ, for the population of UJ. There's really no better marketing that you can get. The other piece I hope that you saw is we're in the basement, because where else do you have this in Outsurance? And you can have also social distancing. And finally, I think you could see like the absolute focus on the detail. How the chairs were set out, how the banners, how it wasn't overly complicated, how the people were clearly identifiable, etc., making the experience absolutely seamless for the people. So really for us, a big win. So maybe we just thought as a final part, oh, I'm running out of time. Okay, I will whiz through this. Give me 3 minutes there. Maybe let me just show you, I'm going to take you through 2 key videos. This one shows you our mass vaccination site.
It's time to get vaccine ready. Getting your vaccination is safe, quick, and easy. These are the steps you will need to take to get vaccinated. Register on the Electronic Vaccination Data System, EVDS. When it's your turn to be vaccinated, our Vaccination Navigator will help you prepare for your vaccination day with all the logistical arrangements. On your vaccination day, our discovery sites are color-coded for every step of your vaccination journey. Our friendly wayfinders are there to guide you through the process. Your journey will start at one of the many registration stations. Make sure you have your confirmation of appointment, your proof of ID, and your medical scheme membership card. If it's your second dose, remember to bring your original vaccination card. Once your registration is complete, check you have all your belongings before going to the waiting area. You will be seated and called up by our wayfinders when it's your turn to go on to the next step, the vaccination. You will be guided to one of our friendly nurses at a numbered vaccination pod. The nurse will explain everything you need to know about the vaccine and will administer your vaccine. You will then get your vaccination card. All that's left is to head over to the observation area where you can sit back and browse our content to help make your 15 to 30-minute observation time fly by.
In the interest of time, I'm going to move forward. But I hope you can see the whole process play through. You can see the innovation, you can see purpose came through, the need was clearly there. The partnerships that you saw, whether it was a competitor or not a competitor, it was the right partnerships at the right time. And you can see that the experience was seamless. We turned our whole building into a vaccination site. We changed that's actually what you're seeing there is an actual vaccination site and how we changed everything. And the actual experience was incredible. People who were not Discovery members couldn't wait to come to our building. We could not have had a better marketing tool if we tried. I'm going to end, I have 2 more slides, 1 slide and then a last video, which is really short. I'm going to end by saying that the role of sort of stakeholder management and getting the right type of partners is critical. We've been able to do this over many years, and we've got a best of breed partners. Pick n Pay and Woolworths, I'll give you an example. I'm a Vitality member on all of my products. So I've got Vitality, but I've got health, obviously bank, insure, etc. I get 75% off all healthy foods at Woolworths. That for me is like a brain alteration. I will never leave. I mean, they would have to kick me out, or they would have to change the benefit for me to leave any of our products. And even this piece is so important in terms of how you market and how you get brand love. Because I love Discovery because of my Woolies, as an example. We pay for the activation at Virgin Active. At Total Sports, you get between 25% and 50% off. At Clicks and Discount, you see all those things that say healthy gear, you get a discount. So I think over time, and I'll go to travel last, we've just really honed in on how do you create partnerships of real value. And these partnerships in themselves have become like lethal marketing tools. So in terms of experience, and then I'll close with the video, I wanted to take you through Vitality Travel. Does anybody have Vitality Bank here? Discover? Yay, yay. Are we believers? But Vitality Bank, I mean, Discovery Bank is probably like the best feature. I go there 3 to 4 times a day. I traveled here yesterday, and literally from booking my flight, there's no one who can give you a flight discount at the time of booking. Not, please, can you submit your booking ticket, we'll reimburse you. At the time of booking, 75% off. In today's day, where we've seen, unfortunately, some of the airlines go down after COVID, it's become so expensive, and therefore, to book my flight on my app easily, to get to the airport and zoom through Fast Track and not have to wait in the long queue because I'm a Discovery Bank member. And then, obviously, when I stay myself, but this time I'm staying through work, to have booked it on my Discovery app, to be in the lounge, because I can just show my Discovery app and bring my whole community into the lounge with me. And then when you get there, to also play tapping with your Discovery. It's actually mind-blowing. Whenever I go, especially to OR Tambo, I always like, we've made the airport pretty. It's actually uplifting to see the pink and purple. And the airport is a key point for this country. It's important that it looks good, that it presents well, both for foreign people and for local people. So for us to be able to work with AXA and other airports around the country is completely important. But I wanted to close with this. We can do everything. We can say, what an amazing product. What if the experience for the people we're doing it with does not come alive in the most exceptional way, we have not done our jobs. And so I wanted to leave you with the experience of Discovery Bank.
Go local, go global. Discovery Bank brings you Vitality Travel, the world's first shared value travel booking platform. With the widest range of travel partners than ever before, your healthy behaviors get you those bigger discounts. Up to 75% off local and international flights, discounts on accommodation, car hire, and amazing travel packages. Join Discovery Bank today and go everywhere with Vitality Travel. Discovery Bank, the future of banking, now.
Maybe to just say, what's important about Discovery Bank is you don't get the discounts because you have the most money. It's such an important thing. The discounts are driven by your healthy behavior on money, on health, on other areas, but healthy behavior, so going back to purpose. And all of that I've said has made our Chief Marketing Officer, was the Chief Marketing Officer of the Year in 2022, because the 2023 one hasn't happened yet, and you can see the slew of awards. And those awards are not because we did something different and spectacular, they're because we responded to need, but we responded to it in innovative and mind-bending ways that really added value to people. And that's what we want to do for universities. That's you in the middle. That's all of our assets around it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nonku. Colleagues, you have the floor. You can ask questions. We'll do it the same way as we did yesterday, 3 questions at a time. I'm not going to put any time limits. I don't know if we have any gifts today, Sylvanus. Oh, we do. So the shorter the question, the bigger the gift. Okay, colleagues, let's... Suzanne promises she's going to give us a short question. Okay.
What are you planning to do for universities such as TUT that is in the township areas? How can we build partnerships with you? And just a lecturer. I'm not one of these fancy peoples, but I'm here to understand that.
You are the one that I fear the most. I have not sat in a lecture. Oh, do we take all the questions?
Mine is linked to her question on the partnerships, but specifically on students. You mentioned the weekly meeting with the R&Ds and universities. There's this innovation competition of students. How do you involve graduates and university students, but even your own graduate program, for example, or the juniors? How do you involve them in that, in those meetings so that you can get fresh ideas that are directed at young people?
Nonku, hi, good morning. My name is Alan. Double-barrel question. The first one is, what role do you see digital platforms playing in shaping the future of discovery and its related businesses? And then secondly, are South African universities producing the adaptive graduates that you need to achieve those goals? Thank you.
Okay, we'll just take one more.
Good morning. I'm Lerato, and I'm from TUT. I just want to find out, you know, with Discovery now, you want to enter into universities. I'm just following up on Susan's question. I find that I've been with Discovery from the beginning, but I still don't understand like 80% of the things that I've got the watch, I've got the phone, I've got the everything, but I just am not able to use everything to its maximum capacity. Even Discovery Travel, I tried it once and I was told, oh no, that flight is not available anymore. And then I went back to my F&B e-bugs. That's much easier. It speaks to me. It loses me to a point that I cannot use it. Now you go to a university, you go to Zukanya here, who's a student at TUT, and he's like, this thing does not speak to me. Now, are you now going to certain universities, or are you going to be looking at the majority of universities? Because you're sort of like losing me as a customer. I've been with F&B since 1995 when I started working. But Discovery, I took it up and I thought, oh, this looks nice, but it's just too learny for me and I just don't get it. Honestly, I could be getting a lot more, but you're losing me.
Okay, you can go for it.
Great. Let me start with Susan's question. First of all, Zonke, who sits in this room, is the managing executive for employers and groups. And we see institutions of higher learning and other institutions as a critical part of that. We haven't always in the past, not because we haven't seen them like that. We didn't have a strategy that focuses at universities. And the reason why Zonke has joined this for 2 days is to understand some of the things that the universities are going through, working with, etc. Critical to understand is that we don't want to come to institutions with just we want to partner. We want to come with real value. And we've started to do some work with some of the institutions where we put the institution in the middle. We take all the assets that we have, and we do have assets that talk to everyone. It's not assets that talk to Lani people. We've got prepaid health. Something on my profile was, the thing that wakes me up in the morning currently in my job is actually just the inclusion of new people into the private health system. Because I know as a mom, my child being sick, what it means, and not being able to get help for them at the time that I need to. So we've got powerful solutions, and we are hoping what we can do is how do we work to make them affordable and accessible. So I'll give you real examples, which you probably don't know, but prepaid health, as an example, we've negotiated with providers, which is not an easy thing to do because it's the same provider that gives the medical aid scheme member the benefit, who also has to give John, who maybe is in an institution in Pimville, the same benefit. So for Nongu, I get 800 rands, and then for this person, you're asking me to drop my rate. So we've got, as an example, a prepaid voucher for 300 rands. I don't think people know. For 300 rands, you get a full consultation, you get your medication in full, and we underpin it and underpay it. We have a virtual consult for 180 rands with the doctor, with the script. So I guess what I'm trying to say is what we're hoping we'll get out of this, Susan, is understanding with each of the entities, where do you sit, what are your biggest challenges, is the opportunity in health, is the opportunity in banking, is the opportunity in funeral and life insurance. These are real things in these areas. And maybe lastly to add, we've spent the last 18 months understanding the client we didn't understand. And I can tell you we didn't understand the client. We launched something called FlexiCare, which is health insurance, not medical scheme. We went out, and to cut the cost of that product, to make it as affordable as possible, we said, you don't need a card. What you need to do is go to the doctor. Through our systems, we'll tell the doctor when they put in their ID that you should be seen by them and given the medication. We take very seriously that nobody ever has an out-of-pocket experience because we know what that means. And we didn't give cards. People didn't use the benefit, even where their employer paid for the health insurance. Do you know why? People felt delegitimized. Some people had never seen a doctor. Not having a card meant if I'm wearing my overalls and I'm in construction and I want to go see that doctor, and it happens to be a white doctor. I've never been in the medical system where I've seen a GP face-to-face. How do I go without something in my hand? So we changed it and we put in a card. So, I mean, I've gone long-winded, but what I'm trying to impress on you is that we're looking at institutions holistically, not just we're looking at students, we're looking at the staff, and the different staff in the institution, as we've learned. You know, you've got the professional staff, you've got a huge amount of administrative staff, you've got ground staff, and for each of those different entities, we've got different solutions that will wrap around them. We want to bring, as an example, an on-site clinic to every university, but not just an on-site clinic. Can it also be a virtual on-site clinic? We want to bring prepaid vouchers that are sexual health, so that a student who needs a morning after is not like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You can actually get the voucher. The doctor knows that it's about sexual health, whatever that means. It might be a morning after, it might be there was an assault, whatever. We want to bring mental health vouchers. So we're really thinking out of the box around this particular community and all the constituencies within it. So please talk to us, talk to her. Sorry, then the next question.
The next one was about students and your graduate program.
Oh, brilliant. This we're taking actually particularly serious. We are... I need to be careful how I say this. But we are almost proud of it. We are intellectual snobs at Discovery. And what I mean by that, we really want the best of the best. We also are very conscious that we want the best of the best today that are Black African and Black colored, because that's where we don't have the right in our organization. That's where there's still room to grow from a diversity and inclusion perspective. And so we've been quite deliberate in now going into institutions that we can do that. So a couple of things that we're doing. So we've got the Discovery Foundation. Again, it's linked to purpose, right? We need to increase the number of health professionals, specialists in this country. So we have spent over 200 million creating super specialists for the country, not for ourselves, funding particularly in rural South Africa, doctors who will go back and work in rural South Africa, but who are Black doctors that we're funded. And we continue to do that. In fact, that's how I met Sylvanus. And we work with the professionals in that institution in terms of how do you fund it, because there are governance issues around it. We need to make sure that the money is going to the right place. We send them overseas, and we'll continue to do that. So the foundation is material. We have a hackathon where we try to identify the kind of skills that we're looking for, which are digital skills, analytical skills, and bring them in. We also have what we call the Adrian Gore Foundation, which particularly focuses on actuarial skills. And in fact, one of the Adrian Gore fellows is in my team, the formula guy. These are brilliant young people. And where we have had to work hard is being deliberate around making sure that we go forth and we now work harder to find Black African skills. Just yesterday, Adrian has launched a mentorship program for Black young people, Black African and Black colored. And why those two, by the way, they're not unique to Discovery. For those of you I mean, all of you work in institutions, but usually we've got enough, or we've got an overrepresentation of white colleagues because of historic, and Indian colleagues. And where there's a shortage of inclusion and diversity in workplaces, is usually black and colored. And so he started this, and he's going to be personally mentoring, even within our business, these young black African and black colored people, and then he's extending the mentorship outside of Discovery. So it will probably be in the press soon to touch more black African and more black colored people. I also want to say importantly is we find that it's actually not an issue of smarts most of the time, it's an issue of confidence. People are not, bold or confident enough just because of where we come from and how we're being included. So in terms of the question around can we include of the R&D, we love that idea. So we'll definitely connect and we'll look at how we do it, especially if institutions already have a construct of sort of their own innovation cycle. What we also do in terms of these hackathons, we throw problems out and we reward the people that solve the problems. And usually we throw problems out to students within institutions. So I think it's something we'll definitely take back to our R&D team and start a cycle of how we do it.
Nonku, sorry, in the interest of time, we're going to have to stop the answers, but just 1 minute, just to tell us or to answer the question on how do you simplify the benefits?
Firstly, I'm so sorry. We will make sure before we leave, you are switched on, or we'll make sure that you have someone who will switch you on. The truth is, Vugani wouldn't battle. Because he's young. No, but because he's a student, I'm actually not being facetious. Our products, and I want to show you, are built now, and this has been a metamorphosis, by the way. It's not, we weren't like that from day one. But as an example, if you go to the bank app today, it's better than going to search on Travel Start. Does that make sense? Like, as you see the flight, it's not us who are, if the flight disappears, the next flight, the cheapest flight is there for you. So we have, and unfortunately we lost you while we weren't there, but the products have become extremely simple. The bank app has integrated everything. You can see your health, you can see your running, you can see, do I want to book flights, do I want to go to the lounge, and it happens instantaneously. What we're building now, I might be fired. I don't know, but I'm going to share it anyway, is think about how you Google something. Imagine if you can discover it by just going to a text line to say, is SA Lounge open right now? And it's 9:52 on a Sunday night. And it can say, yes, go, or no, it's closed, you need to find an alternative. So we're continuously trying to simplify, but I think we lost you before the tools were what they are. We're not saying it's not complex. Health is super complex, not because of just us, because the regulation is complex. And so how you put benefits together, what's a prescribed minimum benefit, etc. But we have simplified it. We are launching something in September that is going to simplify it further. But what we'll make sure we do before we go is get you in touch with someone who can just take you through it, because there is so much power in these benefits. And if you're not getting the power, you're going to want to leave us one day. So we'll make sure that we do that. Lastly, for just everyone has a broker. Whether you know that broker, you don't know that broker, we pay someone on your behalf on a monthly basis. Their actual jobs are to advise you in terms of, yes, your choices, but also to switch on those products for you. And we pay them every single month. For health, as an example, is prescribed by legislation. We pay a certain percentage of every single premium to a financial advisor. So also important to just know who they are and make sure that they're working for their money. But we'll make sure. But I'm just saying, if Vugani was a student, this is the stuff they do like this. We've got WhatsApp, we've got a chat bot. Literally, you can go to WhatsApp and say, where's my doctor? It will come back and say, you just need to add us as like your WhatsApp contact, and then we'll start communicating. So we've gone a long way. We did start really not so great.
Lovely. Thank you, Nonku. Ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry about the other question.
Hi, thank you, Nonku. Can we give her a hand one more time? Indeed, a brilliant and sharp lady. and really she knows her product. I mean, we could have picked up on the way she handled the questions, the way she did a presentation, and the colleague over here. I mean, you're going to leave here and you will know how to use your apps. Just Nonko, make sure of that. Nonko, as a token of appreciation, here's a voucher. We will email you the voucher. It is a Take-A-Lot voucher. We'll email it to you. That's just to make it official. So thank you for coming, and have a safe trip back. I will be in touch with you just after this. Prof?
Well, colleagues, we now have a panel discussion, and I think this is a topic that's on everybody's minds and everybody's using it, and that's ChatGPT. So we are going to hear from some experts who are using ChatGPT. I can tell you unashamedly I use it, and at the very least to get my thinking right, and thereafter I go and clean up ChatGPT. But we have a panel of experts who will tell us how to maximize the benefit, and more importantly, how to use it ethically. So I'm going to hand over to Stembinkosi, who's going to introduce the panel and tell us a little more about the topic that we are going to be listening to.
Okay, I see a couple of colleagues are going for a leg break, but we'll continue anyway. So thank you, everyone. As Anesh has already indicated, I am Thembi Tlale. I am from the University of Pretoria, and I'm also the Deputy Chairperson of the Mace Board. So today we're going to have a panel discussion on ChatGPT. Yesterday, one of our colleagues from UJ spoke about AI and its impact in terms of alumni relations. So today, the panel are going to be speaking about the higher education readiness for AI intelligence, ChatGPT. I'm sure all of us have a bit of a love-hate relationship with ChatGPT, and we're still trying to figure out, do we find it useful? Do we want to explore it further? And obviously in our day-to-day work, what is the impact? How is it going to affect the work that we do? So today, the panelists will look at the implications of AI and also explore the intersection of AI and higher education in terms of our preparedness, and also shed some light in terms of their experience in terms of how this technology is shaping the future of learning and engagement. Okay, so the panel is facilitated by Mr. James Kidd from DevMan, and our panelists are Prof. Vukosi Marivate, who is from University of Pretoria, and we also have Mr. Gary Ndlovu, who is from the University of Fort Hare, and we also have Mr. John Bowles, who is from Turn Left Media, who is LinkedIn's partner in Africa. So welcome to the panel, and over to you. Thank you.
LinkedIn, Facebook, just a few years ago, those were new technologies. Would you believe that now in your day-to-day activity in alumni relations, prospect researching, communications, day-to-day activity, communicating your activities to your stakeholder audience, and of course researching your prospects, your donors, your alumni? Well, now the buzz is ChatGPT. In my world in software, we're using Copilot. It's an equivalent. There's Grammarly. All of these new technologies. We hope today that you leave this discussion feeling enthused, energized to implement these technologies more within your teams. Some of you, of course, are using them already, but it's also about team empowerment, how we can get our full team, full benefit from these. And so it's pretty exciting. We're really enjoying the chats with our panel. The theme, of course, is higher education readiness for AI. So we're going to start at the high level and then gently percolate down to more practical ways we can implement these technologies within your teams directly. Now, Prof. Vukosi, with your background, you have that academic background, University of UP, computer science, and specializing in developing machine language learning. I mean, that's an amazing background. So we really want to understand from you insights on extracting data and this whole exciting field.
Cool. How much time do you have? 5 minutes?
Let's go 5, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's actually great to be here. I'm trying to think if it's 2008 or 2009. I was at VETS at the time helping out alumni relations, I think, at the time, and I think we won the social media award at Mace during that period. I remember having to stay up late at night to make sure we got all of the names for vets on Facebook and Twitter and all those things. But yeah, on that. But yeah, I'm Vukosi. I'm the chair of data science at the University of Pretoria. I'm also actually a CTO of a AI startup based in Joburg called Lapa AI. This is going to be short. I wasn't really going to go through slides, but I wanted to show what we actually do. So at the University of Pretoria, I run a lab called Data Science for Social Impact. I've co-founded grassroots AI organizations on the continent. So you have Deep Learning in Daba, and also Masakani. Masakani specifically works on AI and language, so natural language processing. That's what we call it, for African languages by Africans on that. And I've been working within this space probably since 2007, working within AI and those areas. That's our lab at the University of Pretoria. 70% of the students are working on the AI and language part, and then the others then are working on how we get data science into society, so getting people to be able to use this. So just as I think as an important thing is that last year, if I remember I think it was around May or June, we started seeing something that was very exciting, and one part of it was what a GitHub, which I think there was a reference to Copilot coming along, having this model becoming available to write code. So on our side, so things like ChatGPT, we build them in our lab, and we've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years, right? So it's just that you need to scale them to make them bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and this becomes you need more compute. For us, we need to just buy bigger and bigger computers to do this. On the other side is that for our African languages, which is what we focus on, you need to get more data. So more data is actually better than bigger computers, right? So how do I get more Setswana data, which is the current model I've been training this morning on my computer? How do I get more data for isiXhosa? All those types of things become very important for us than on the other side. So the current revolution that is going on and that we're seeing is really just just a cycle. There's a hype cycle. There'll be 1,000 things that are going to be thrown at you in terms of saying, here's the tool, here's the tool, here's the tool. And we will know that within a couple of months, most of those things will fizzle out. But there will be a few nuggets that really stay on and move to kind of the next thing. A few years ago, it was really about computer vision, right? What do I mean about this? Now you take it for granted that you take a photo with your phone, and then your phone identifies what's in the picture, and then your gallery, you can just say, I'm looking for a tree. And it shows you all the pictures with the tree. That technology has now just become part of the background. You don't think about it, right? And that's a lot of what's going to be happening with generative AI models, or large language models as we call them, whether you're using ChatGPT, you're using Bard, there's Llama 2 that's out now from our Facebook colleagues, and all those things. And it's going to be something that we're still trying to figure out, how do we use it in the most effective way? There are challenges when thinking about these things. One, where does the data that train these models come from? Why? Typically, what we see is that there's a bias of where it comes from. Most of it is, you'll find, is in North American English on that. And then it is not really an information-seeking tool. So some people are trying to use it as, I'm going to replace a search engine, or me actually going and reading things and just asking it to generate things. Maybe because I'm in academia, this has become very clear, because you see it in people asking about a thing that maybe at the moment is currently debated. So you would say, what is the best way to do X? And it just will regurgitate the thing that is the most popular on the internet, not necessarily the thing that is the correct response. So that's why the information seeking part is not replaced by these machines, right? Even though people will try to convince you about that, it is not. If you aren't engaging with whatever it generates and you just copy and paste it on that part, you will find yourself in situations where now you're being asked, why did you write this thing in this way? Right? That's number one. Two, we're starting to also identify, because there's specific types of language and things. So at the startup, we work on a couple of things that deal with the large language models. So one, we know that these, like ChatGPT is really horrible in languages outside English. I think the first time we were testing it, we asked it, can you please count from 1 to 10 in isiZulu? And it said, ku 1, ku 2, ku 3, ku 4, right? But again, think about this from a perspective of somebody who doesn't maybe know isiZulu, right? And then they just ask, please generate for me some of these things. That's number one. Number two, there's this weird flowery language that goes on there. One of my other colleagues was very angry earlier this week of saying, I'm starting to notice all the emails that are written by ChatGPT or written by Bard. Because you can see that it's not the person who's writing this thing, right? Because now instead of something being 3 or 4 sentences, it's now 10 to 15 sentences. Right? There is a joke on the other side of this from the people who work on AI of like, oh, what we'll do now is that we'll add a language model on the other side to just always summarize what the email says. Right? So just imagine our communication now becomes, please generate my email, and then somebody else says, please summarize the email that I got from the other person. Right? But there are going to, there's going to be these opportunities. For me, maybe as this conversation goes on, is I'll really be interested in how we think about the spaces, especially of the people and the practitioners who are in here, how we work to make all of these types of models more accessible in our languages. And one part, I'll say it now and we'll have a discussion, is if you're writing any copy not in English and all those things, how then do we make sure that gets shared with researchers in AI, especially on the African continent? Because that becomes a huge resource. Same thing with audio, same thing with video. How do we work with your libraries at your university so these things are archived properly? And then from those archives, people like myself can access them and then build tools where you're not necessarily going to be interacting with ChatGPT in this way, or the students or the people that you're trying to get to, you don't have to be forced to really just work in English. On that, you can touch in any language in South Africa when it comes to that. So yeah.
Excellent points. Thank you very much, Prof. Vukosi. Now you've touched on data, you've touched on the various tools, and that's one thing to take note of. AI is huge. It's not just one product like ChatGPT that we are using. There's similar products for software technology and so on. Now it's quite nice, John, your specialization is LinkedIn. It's a tool that we all use. And you have some very fascinating insights on AI in the LinkedIn space and possibly unpacking value.
Yeah, thanks, James, and thanks for the invitation today. Wonderful to have this opportunity. Look, LinkedIn is a large platform. It started off as kind of a place where you load your CV, watch over your back in case your boss isn't looking at you as you kind of look for new jobs, etc. That's now evolved into the largest professional social media network in the world. 950 million members on it, 53 million in Africa and growing quite rapidly. South Africa's at almost 12 million members that are on the platform. So if you are studying and if you're starting to move into your career, the first thing you're going to do is load up your LinkedIn profile, start to develop presence, and start to maybe connect with other professionals out there. That's kind of usually the evolution of the LinkedIn process. Now there's a strong connection between AI and LinkedIn. and that connection revolves around the co-founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman. He is also the co-founder of, or one of the founders of ChatGPT or OpenAI. And of course, LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, and you can kind of connect all the dots together of what they're trying to do at Microsoft and incorporate everything on there. So there's a lot going on to take advantage. And if you look at what the mission of AI or sort of OpenAI is to use AI to provide a safe environment for humanity and to have access. I mean, it's one of those wonderful, fluffy statements from tech in San Francisco, I think. And we all know there's a lot of fear and tension around what AI can do and if it gets into the wrong hands. But LinkedIn, from their perspective, are trying to incorporate it into how do we make productivity more efficient and effective through the use of AI. They recently pushed out a future of work report. A lot of your students, a lot of your universities are equipping your teams to go out into the real world. Your alumni are there already, you're connecting with them. And what they want to try and do is enable the world with those skills. Now, right now, universities are kind of in a catch-up state. LinkedIn are talking about we're in a skills-first environment, you know, more so than, you know, traditional degree world, which is quite a scary thing, particularly for the institutions. So what does that mean? I mean, since 2016, we've seen an increase of people with AI-related skills on LinkedIn increase 9 times fold. Now, just to give you an idea, there are 38,000 skills listed on LinkedIn, 38,000 skills, anything you can think of. 101 of those are now AI-related skills, and they are increasing quite rapidly. The number of job postings mentioning AI has increased 21 times since 2016. And Microsoft and LinkedIn has recently released a certification free on AI that's available to anybody in the world to start to get equipped up. It's about 3.5-hour course that you can get onto quite quickly. So if it's a skills-first environment, what does that mean, and how did the institutions like yourselves catch up? I'm not sure. You would know that better than me. But the point is that there's a lot of demand for AI-related skills. And how do we empower that? In this future of work report, what came out is that it's not necessarily a fear factor for senior executives in the US. I think only 4% state that they're reassessing, you know, job roles and downsizing their teams. They're really looking at AI as an enabler to get more productive. And I think what we're seeing is they're embracing that. They're trying to encourage their staff. We know that there's a lot of demand for talent in this space, and because a lot of people aren't skilled up, the easiest way to do that is to skill up your workforce quickly in this space. So what LinkedIn are doing now is trying to help around their product suite, which is LinkedIn Talent, Marketing, Learning, to provide that. There are now 300 courses on LinkedIn Learning, for example, to get equipped with LinkedIn, with AI or GAI related skills that people can jump on quickly. So I think there's and also just within your own environment of my profile as a job seeker, we're starting to see a lot of prompts coming in, helping you write your CVs or get your profile sorted from AI. For hirers, they're helping develop JDs and improve engagement to attract talent. The learning courses are getting available on that side. And then finally, of course, in the marketing and sales environment, there's a lot of generative AI prompts coming through into the platform through their campaign management system, as well as their sales navigator product. So they are pushing a lot of this technology into the LinkedIn environment to help people just get more productive. I think that's the message that's coming out from San Francisco.
Thank you very much, John. And John's background, especially too, in business to human communications and so on, so growing that area. So please do chat to him further. We're going to carry on with this topic.
Sorry, just to add one thing from that Future of Work report is what came out clearly is that around 25 countries in the world, the one matter that's coming up that's crucial is there's a demand for more people skills to empower whatever role you're in and job you're in to develop those skills. We're always going to need that human touch, aren't we?
Excellent, thank you. So can you see there too, again, we're hoping that there's this big picture AI, but there's a lot of applications for it. And of course, we want to be able to use it practically within our teams. So Gary has a great background, University of Fort Hare on the one hand, but also running a media company. So he straddles both sides. So he's pulling up some slides and getting ready there. We want to sort of start applying it to see what do we do day to day. And of course, the four of us will talk too as we go into it. But just a question while Gary gets set up. Again, Prof. Vukosi touched on it. What is AI? Is it that amazing brain, warm personality sitting behind ChatGPT talking to you? No. Huh? As you mentioned, it's data. It's an engine to consume huge data sets and then basically extrapolate decisions. So one famous story was Amazon. They were using it for their hiring, and they found that they were hiring more men than women. Of course, we realize why. Huh? Our society is full of bias, gender bias, race, ethnicity. The data sets being pulled in, of course, reflect those biases. So one of the things that we want to do is train our teams to understand the use of the tool, use it wisely, and of course understand the limitations. So drill down, ask, get comfortable with ChatGPT, play with it, and then also be able to interpret the results, understand the limitations. And Gary, we're looking forward to you talking a little bit more about this as well.
Good morning to you all. We had pre-discussions in the last 2 months, and in the last 2 months, AI has just evolved. I agree a lot with what Vusi just said in the beginning, that the more you engage AI, the more you see kind of a static thing. But if the last 2 months of development is at the rate of which things are developing, I think I want to be a ChatGPT prophet in this discussion, so that we can have some discussions. You may love to hate it, but there is a disruptive nature of what AI is doing. And just to, the slide is not moving, wrong machine. This is prediction number 1. ChatGPT will be a required KPI for your employees in advancement marketing stakeholder engagement. This is going to be a particular requirement. And the reason being is that AI-driven content creation is going to help kind of align how communications are going to happen. Number one, how many of you have faced pressure situations? You need to come up with a document in the shortest possible time. Imagine if that document can be generated in under 5 minutes, and then you use your emotive and intellect to align it to the kind of language that you write. With the research that is doing, imagine if South African English can become part and parcel of how this thing can be segmented. I actually played with ChatGPT a few months back, and somebody you can actually take your own documents, load it up first, and say, please study the writing style. This is the writing style that belongs to Gary Dlovu. Now write a document based on my writing style that it tries to actually mimic your writing style, but you still need to tweak it. But this is just in its infancy. 12 months from now, we'll be saying a different language. But imagine if your stuff doesn't have AI, or they have a negligent part of this. If the world is moving this way, and you decide to say, I'm not going to move with it, it reminds me of when Facebook came in. All the universities put a policy to block Facebook. How many of you have blocked Facebook now? How many of you are believers in? So it became a radical marketing tool. Yes, there are fears that there's always going to be bad people in the world. I hope none are in this room. We're not trying to destroy everybody here, but we're trying to get things moving. So this is my first prediction. That's going to happen in your departments. I want to speak straight to you. The second prediction is revolutionizing content creation and personalization. And communication in universities is not as a one direction to all. You speak to students, you speak to alumni, you speak to staff, researchers, and more. Wouldn't it be great to create a chat AI bot that can speak to a particular person? Are you a student? Are you this? And get a response that is quite effective. But the way AI works is, there was a concept of feed me more a long time ago. The more you feed it, the better it becomes. So what does this mean from a university point of view? Is we need to get people that are going to start feeding AI with information that pertains to a particular institution. And who knows more on how to communicate that? It's the people in this room. So if you're not involved in it, then ChatGPT will involve your university in its own way, which is not speaking to your culture and how things are moving in that particular way. But once you feed it with information, because I believe that's what you're doing as well, you're starting to feed these things. That means universities should be deliberate, working with you guys to say we need to we need a lot of data centers or something that's going to just be dedicated in each and every university in this country, a deliberate investment in that, so that a particular university, I'm in the Eastern Cape, we speak predominantly 4 languages. It's closer to Afrikaans and English in that particular area. That data center has people that are keep on feeding it more information. But this information is just derivative of how you guys are going to use it in communicating with all these people moving forward. The next one will be interesting for you because it's stakeholder engagement. How many of us want the alumni to give us more money? If you don't, we hate you in this room. So dealing with issues on student inquiry about admissions, deadlines, and alumni wanting to learn about upcoming events, virtual assistants are becoming the future. And why is it important to have a virtual assistant? It gives you time. I mean, if you can save, if what took you a day can be done in under an hour, what does that time mean? It means people like Discovery can come to you and say, oh wow, there's a wellness program that you can do from 12 to 1 because you've delivered what your KPAs within your departments have to do. You now can worry about wellness, mental health. There's huge issues happening in the country. The fact that you are in your department, it doesn't mean that life doesn't happen. Life continues to happen. So if we can achieve those KPAs faster, and if we can get those KPAs to be attained, then we also have to be delicate in that you can't just allow the system to be your final conclusion. You need to really check that this is the kind of communication that's going out, this is working. But this can actually say the virtual assistants can start helping the universities communicate better and get things done. We need developers for this, and this is why there's a huge growth of new skills coming in. 101, I predict there's going to be more coming forward. My last prediction, there's something called Udacity, UDACT. If you go there, there is a great content on AI nano-degree programs that delve into specifics. The last one is data-driven insight and strategic decision making. Maybe before I speak about that, universities, I'm also a lecturer, and my students are playing with this thing and they're trying to submit assignments. We hate it for that. We really hate it for that. But if I'm a researcher and I'm I'm actually in the process of pursuing my PhD now, I am thinking, is it worth spending 8 months going to libraries, doing a literature review, when I can use AI to collate all this information and get it done. The other argument I would like to bring is that when we didn't have, like when I started a long time ago, you needed to be like search for your material, travel to universities to try to get literature. Now there's this whole unilateral combined library system where you can search for stuff. But now you've got AI that has access to the same things and can then actually give you specific things. What does it mean for a researcher who needs to come up with new thinking to find all of his sources in the shortest possible time so that he doesn't spend 6 months looking at a literature review, but he's spending shorter time in literature review and he has more time to delve to his new thinking and ideology and searching. This is a love-hate relationship within the university space, and you have traditionalists that want you to suffer. Sorry, lack of a better word, because it's part of the university process. And then you've got AI that says, here's everything that you need in this particular period of time. So research, development, alignment thinking, like having the right ideas there, for me, those are pretty cool ways of saying, if this is the future, then the discussions which we're having is how can we, within a university space, take advantage of those things, but still be able to validate the kind of quality thinking that we are going to get within the university. So these are my 4 predictions that I'm putting out there. But I think maybe let's, through you, go into discussions, and then maybe if we have enough time, have a 2-minute experiment for the benefit of those that have never used ChatGPT. How many of us have never used it in the room? So there's quite a number of people. I promise you, after this, your lives will never be the same. Thank you. As the prophet of ChatGPT.
The new name, Prophet. Thank you very much, Gary. That's excellent. So, and that's what we want to do today is give a little bit more time for Q&A, and also we have a couple of minutes for really good hands-on activity. But just remember, within your teams, there's various potential areas of usage. One is writing, media. All of you, you're the face of the universities. You're writing the articles representing the university. What is the worst thing about writing? The blank page. Yeah? Writer's block, yes. So a popular method is to use ChatGPT to help you spawn that initial document. Just get going. Give you that outline, and maybe we can actually play around with a couple of options on doing that. Get the outline going. On the other hand, as Gary mentioned, and Prof. Vukosi as well, is that what you don't want is just computer-generated bumper. So training our teams, on the one hand, to be effective, getting going with, for example, writing articles, but on the other hand, then applying the human touch. Making what we do here is uniqueness. It's relationships. It's talking about what you as a university makes you special. So, for example, clever things like taking an article and then saying, right, how can I make this more centric for my LinkedIn audience? How can I release it for Facebook? Changing your personality of writing. So I've written this article. How can I write it towards an alumnus? Using these tools for writing. So that's one really exciting area. And Gary, maybe we can actually start getting going on that one. Then, in terms of data analysis, of course, you are big data users. Alumni data, hundreds of thousands of records, donations, prospect research. And Prof, again there too, talking about how we use it for data analysis. Perhaps you want to talk on a minute there?
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure yet if you would use it directly, but actually, very funny enough, during my PhD, one of the things I was working on was these systems that are more learning from experience. It's called reinforcement learning, so it's part of the 2 waves ago of the AI revolution. It was a huge thing. But within that space, one of the things that was interesting was actually optimizing for donation collection, right? Or you can use it for text collection or whatever. So learning from your customers who, if you send them like, an email, you send them a message. In this one, it was also organizations that also send gifts. So you would send a gift to a specific donor, and then because they got that, then they would actually send in a bigger donation. So identifying those things. So there are people who work, it's a whole active research area in just working within those spaces, but that's a big, I think, not necessarily inside within the ChatGPT space. I think maybe to wrap up a couple of thoughts that I've been here. I think it was probably 4 years ago, we went to GCIS, so the Government Communication Information System, and trying to talk to them about the way that they do their media, right? And specifically, we were trying to talk about Vukuzenzele. So if you don't know Vukuzenzele, it's a publication that comes from GCIS. It comes out twice a month. And if there's 20 English articles, they typically only translate 2 or 3 to the rest of the South African languages, right? So there's a cost there. So this is like, they have almost an efficiency rate of 10%. So then we had a conversation. You said, hey, we're working on a lot of these AI systems, and one of the things that's very interesting is that if we get access not to the PDF is for humans to be able to see the typesetting, but for machines, you just want to get access to the clear text. So you just want the Word file that had the article on it so that we can use it to train more and more translation tools, and they could be useful for the translators. There was a little bit of apprehension. Nobody said why at the time. Fast forward to last year, we went back, say, COVID is over, we should really start engaging again, and all those things. We are willing to work on going through the whole back catalog of Vukuzenzele to start helping with some of its digitization, aligning sentences. So one of the things that you have to do in this space, you actually have to align, here's a sentence to vendor, and this same sentence, here's the same sentence in isiXhosa that was translated years ago. We will help you with all of this. Can we do it? We got a message from the DG saying, this is not happening. We don't have the time or the money. I said, I'll bring the money. They said, no, we still don't have the time. I said, don't worry, I'll hire the people. And then at the end, they said, no, we're not doing, because somebody would have to look over your shoulder what you're doing. That's what the thing. DG quit a couple of months later, and then we went back. And finally, this year, we were able to come and bring GCIS into our lab at the university. And we showed them what we did with them. Last year, I had hired my own research assistants that worked for almost the whole year, going through, I think, 3 or 4 years of the back catalog, aligning all of these sentences, extracting it from the PDFs. And we had now built up a new data set that's available to all researchers with 55 different directions of translations, right, of just the files. And then those files, you can then put them into machine learning pipelines, and now you build translation models. So you can look at Google Translate and whatever and always say like, oh, but it doesn't have my language. Most of the time, it's very English-centric, English to, we are able to build from any direction if with the South African language are within there. And within them being now in our lab for almost 30 minutes, it was, where do we sign? Right, and the apprehension we got to learn was also from the translators who are employed by by GCIS, so now touching on the future of work issue. And this is a part that we have to take into account. I work with linguists, people who are literally in the humanities, they're not in the computer, and we work together within building these things, because there is also a thing we must note, that if we're not developing our languages, whether it's making more data available, making more metadata available, building these models ourselves, and all those things, our languages are dead. All right, so fighting is no longer going to be worth the thing, and it's a huge part. So we have to now, we're getting to that point where we have to weigh these options. Right, of saying, yes, there are going to be the discussions of future of work, but at the same time, it really is getting to a point that for a lot of the way that we actually interact in higher education, it will literally just devolve to English. Yeah.
Excellent points, excellent points. We saw about half the audience saying perhaps they haven't used ChatGPT. Let's get practical.
All right, social engagement time, hello. Anyone wants to volunteer, just raise your hand. I'll ask you the question. Just anyone, just raise your hand. I know it's a lecture room, appropriate place to do so. I'm looking for anyone just to raise a hand. What do you do, sir? You're a lecturer. That's right. You are a lecturer. This is ChatGPT, the actual info interface. Can someone give us anything, a problem, a statement, what you want to do? Another person? Just showing, sir. Yeah. You're a lecturer. What should be the critical skill that people over 50 should acquire with regards to ChatGPT? Okay. Who wants to put it in a format? What format do you want it in? Do you want it in point form? Do you want it in a memo form? Do you want it in an article form?
I think they need to still post it via post office
In a memo. So write a memo to who? To advancement marketing and communications, to advancement. And communication, my communication. At Mace conference. It's writing the memo. As we gather this upcoming Mace conference, I wish to address the necessity for individuals over 50 to understand and engage with modern technologies, specifically ChatGPT and its derivatives. While many within this demographic may not have grown up with these tools as an integral part of their lives, they hold incredible potential in diverse areas, from professionals to personal enhancement. It's still writing the memo. Yeah, I think so. All right.
I think we see the value, don't we? The curse of the white page is over. When we go back to the office, we're all going to be writing our articles, kicking off with this and then using it. So let's kick off now with some Q&A. We hope we've just touched on high level, straight from the top level, AI in higher education, down to some really practical hands-on usage. We welcome some questions to finish off these 15 minutes. Zwakele.
Thank you very much. My name is Zwakele Ngubane from the Durban University of Technology in the Advancement Office. So before becoming an advancement professional, I was also a lecturer. And so my question is really around, I'm not very technologically advanced, as it were. I'm actually more of a traditionalist. I still believe in paper. But obviously I embrace and I'm very optimistic about the advantages that technologies offer us in terms of the work that we do. But this is really a general question, and it's as follows: Is AI not making us lazy? And I want to sort of qualify that by saying, how do we ensure that we do not suffer from cognitive and intellectual atrophy as a result of over-reliance on such technologies? And maybe it's a stupid question, but I mean, I worry because there's, for instance, with the advent of technologies like tablets and all these things, our kids spending too much time and on those devices, and now they are unable to do certain things that we were able to do because of this over-reliance on technology. So my question perhaps is more philosophical, is how do we balance, how do we make sure we take full advantage of the technology, which I fully embrace, but at the same time ensuring that we do not suffer from this cognitive and intellectual atrophy because now AI is doing all the writing and thinking for us? Yeah, so that's my question. Thank you.
Excellent question. Thank you. We'll keep that as one.
Thanks very much. My name is Alan. I'm Corporate Affairs at Durban University of Technology. Previous to my university life, I was a radio presenter for a number of years, and the Buggles told us video would kill the radio star. Many people told us at the time that the iPod, iTunes, Spotify, the internet would kill radio, and technology would have an adverse effect. Now we're seeing technology with artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and many other related platforms. My question to the panel is, do you see AI competing with or complementing human ability? Thank you.
Excellent, but I've got that song in my mind now. Thank you. Third question, and then we'll... Or let's start with those two then.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Oh, okay. Coming back to that conversation and what is critical, or rather my question is partly with this. How do we align our skills for future work with some of the capabilities that we are seeing, like with your artificial intelligence and so on? Because I think then it's a question around how do we move the needle of scholarly and teaching in the universities and in the tertiary, because let me put it this way, the fourth and fifth industrial revolution and their technologies is here, whether you're part of it or not. But how do we now make sure that it does not erode some of the most critical, and you develop what is needed for the future?
Excellent questions. Thank you. We'll stay with those three. Who would like to start? The first one was, is it going to make us lazy, atrophy, over-reliance? John?
Yeah. I think the point is it's here to enable. Like, your students are going to be using it. We all know the youth are the first enablers of technology and to find the shortcuts to whatever they do. If they're writing assignments and using ChatGPT, that's a challenge for you, of course. But I think the point is, what we're seeing from the future of work is it's all about improving productivity at the moment. And there's various vocations and careers that are far more reliant on human intervention. For example, medicine, doctors and nurses, let's put it that way, versus others like software engineering, that's pretty close to this space, but also kind of in a self-sabotaging space in terms of their roles and responsibilities. But the number one point that's coming out from the workforce, from executives, is this is an enabler. It's to improve productivity. It's not going to go away, and I don't think we need to see it as a threat. It's about how do we use it cleverly. An example is teachers. Teachers are kind of on the spectrum, 50-50 in terms of what their roles could be fulfilled in terms of generative AI. A lot of their job functions can be used by AI to do their work, but the way we're seeing it is that now they can have more time to focus on more strategic elements of their job as teachers instead of the administration of the job itself.
Excellent. Empowering our teams to be more efficient, kicking off that writing or fine-tuning that article at the end, but it's not replacing the creative element. The second question, is it competing or can it complement? Nice question.
I feel it's complementing, but if you feel like it's competing, why do you feel threatened? That could be another question. I think technology in its development, my father worked in the railroad. So when I was growing up, traveling from Cape Town to Joburg, the railroad was a safe space. But I dare anyone who says he wants to travel to Mace conference via the railroad today. So we should be looking at benefits. Benefits of what this can do for you. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you time. If a person is not, there's a famous saying now going around that's saying, if you want to hide something, put it in a book. People are moving away from the knowledge system, and we're moving into a content era of people are more interested in content. Now we've got new professions, influencers, etc. People are just delving into a new system. So our kids are not growing in the same with the same mandate that we must get highly educated, and they're not there. They're interested in what content am I going to create out there. So what does this mean for the future of advancement marketing, stakeholder engagement, and so forth? This is why we are more interested in creating videos, etc. I can go here and say, write a script to create a video based on the situation that we've done here. I write it for Facebook. It's going to give us different options from there. I think it complements. But also, what does it mean for your staff that can have additional time with their families, additional time? Life has to happen in and around us, but also in and around the university space. So if you feel threatened, a rhetorical question is, why are you feeling threatened? That is such a big thing. Then we can start dealing with the social aspects of what AI is doing with, and this is opening up a whole plethora of research opportunities for us in universities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great comment. Aligning future skills, that third question.
Okay, I'm actually going to try and probably touch on each of them because I think it's important. So one is, in thinking about future skills, it's very concerning at the moment to think about this current wave of, let's say, AI, generative AI, as being actually now a geopolitical play, right? So I'm trying to maybe move it out of this room. What do I mean about geopolitical play? So the reason I talk about grassroots AI is that I finished my PhD January 2015, came back to South Africa in March 2015, and a lot of us, there's a couple of colleagues and friends who are also coming back to South Africa to start. And what we had noticed then is that the African continent wasn't ready about what was happening when it came to AI. So I'll say, like, generative AI is just one of the things, but then it's been, for a long period of time, very much a geopolitical thing. Canada, for a while, 2016, 2017, was probably one of the biggest investments in AI were there. They moved a lot of the tech companies, Facebook, Google, ended up having to open up offices there because Canada was trying to make sure that those skills are coming into the country. Google in South Africa is not a technology company. They're just business and legal. They do not build any core technology of Google. Same with Microsoft, same with thing. And it's an unfortunate fact that we have to sit with, that for us, we are not represented in the way that these technologies are actually built. So when we're talking about what is the future of work within these spaces, is that when these revolutions are happening, typically there are winners and losers. And it's just that it's very different now. In the past, sure, you were working in a mine started maybe going down, you could work in a factory, and then, like, you could use those skills and then move on. At the moment, the big drive, I think that was said, in AI skills, the biggest ones, the biggest paychecks, are the people who can actually develop the tools. And those are not, I'm not going to be able to take somebody, right, who might have been working at something that's more manual labor and say they become an AI developer even in 3 months. It's impossible. And this is the thing that we're going to face, not just in South Africa, but across the African continent. What you will likely hear is somebody coming and saying, like, no, what you can become is become annotators, which this is the thing that's happening in Nairobi right now. Many companies sprang up saying, we need to then process, OpenAI, Facebook, we're paying African companies to say, we need to process this text and make it safer for people. What does this mean? Most of the internet is really bad. It's not a nice space, especially for women, especially for things. It's really, really bad. So now somebody has to sit, look at some of the responses that are coming out of ChatGPT, and then tell ChatGPT, no, you can't answer this way. And this was being now moved to the African continent because they take it as we are cheap labor. But those companies didn't care about the mental well-being of the workers who were there. Now they're being sued. Now they're trying to close out of Nairobi, but they will find another space on the African continent to move to. Right, so these are the things that will be coming along, and as such, they push us to have to deal with this, not from a sector by sector perspective, but actually saying, what are our values as a continent, as a country? How do we want these types of things to actually represent us? And what things are non-negotiable in what they, and these are the conversations you're not seeing. Right, because they have to take into account policymakers, they have to take into account industry bodies, they have to take into account all these other spaces, and this is the thing that's really very concerning going into the kind of into the future. And then I'll close. On the parts of things like atrophies and things like, look, if the internet went down for 2 hours today, chaos breaks out. That's the answer. There's no, it literally, that's where we've gotten now. Literally, if the internet goes down, I remember there was a time when living in New Jersey, Gmail, just Gmail, went out for 1 day. And the whole university basically closed for the day and said, we'll see you tomorrow. Right? It was like, what's the point of going Gmail, not even Google, it was just Gmail stopped working for 1 day. In that kind of thing. So we are part human, we're part machine already. That ship has gone. So the last one on the thing, look, at the moment there's a huge demand. We know this because from the LAPA on the startup side, lots of companies are saying, can you clone voices and then use it to create content in the future? So it's a huge ethical issue that's going through right now, and it's not even just a Silicon Valley thing anymore. This is South Africa. People are literally asking and saying, can we create a synthetic voice and clone it from X of our things? So you will start seeing contracts, maybe even in radio, saying that during the time that you're with us, we partly own your voice.
So we've just finished part 1. Same time tomorrow, back here. Thank you very much for the Mace board. We really appreciate the time that you've given us today from the 4 of us. We appreciate the time so much more, but hopefully this has just whetted your appetite to continue and delve into this amazing technology.
Thank you very much. I think we all found that very insightful and interesting. I wish the conversation could have gone on longer, but I know we're standing between everyone and a bit of a leg break and warm beverage outside. But yeah, just from the Mace board, I just wanted to give over some vouchers to the panelists. Thank you for your time and for being here and being available. We really appreciate it. And please stay for the rest of the sessions, and we hope we will be able to get more insight from you during the break. We will resume again at 11. Thank you.
What is the metaverse exactly? I'm so fascinated by people sort of buying images in the metaverse and living in this. What is it exactly?
Okay, I can explain it one.
Yeah.
Some months we were talking about this.
Yeah.
About children now who are growing up.
Yeah.
When you ask them, what is your image? Who are you?
Yes.
They are starting to be very different tools. For you, you would say, here's a mirror, that's me. I can see my physical me. Here's a picture of me.
Yeah.
Some children are growing up now, and their avatars are there.
Yes, yes.
No, that's the indication.
Of how they see themselves. I see it with
this Directors Symposium. Whilst I was walking around during the tea break, ChatGPT was the only thing that was on everybody's lips. So it tells you something about that last topic, and it is definitely here, and I'm sure it is here to stay. Colleagues, we're down to, as I said, our last session, and I'm going to ask Elmarie to introduce our speaker.
Welcome back, everybody. I trust that everybody is awake now after the very vibrant session on ChatGPT, and I trust the over 50s are awake now. Okay, so we're moving over to digital marketing and communication, and we have a distinguished expert in our midst today, Chantel Janica. She's an accomplished communication and marketing professional, serving as the Senior Director Communication Marketing at the Nelson Mandela University. With extensive experience in leadership, she significantly enhanced the university's reputation and visibility through a passion for effective communication and understanding marketing principles. So a first digital approach has led to an increased engagement and awareness among stakeholders. She holds an MBA in communication studies from UNISA, and she's very goal-driven. Prior to her current role, Chantel held various positions in communication and the marketing field, working for both public and private organizations and also overseas. So there's a lot of companies that she's worked for in industry. I'm not going to mention all of them. The diverse background has equipped her for a comprehensive understanding of different sectors and industries, allowing her to bring a fresh perspective to her work at Nelson Mandela University. So let's welcome Chantel to the podium, and we look forward to listening to you, Chantel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start, I've got a bit of a disclaimer. Yesterday afternoon, Sylvanus came to me and he said, "Oh, Chantal, I forgot to ask you for a bio. Can you quickly write one for me?" So I turned to ChatGPT and I said, "Brief bio." And then I gave it to my 3 colleagues and I said, "Just have a quick tweak here and there." So it definitely works. Today I'm going to be talking about embracing the future, communication and marketing in the digital age. The reason the digital age is I started at Nelson Mandela University just over 4 years ago, and my mandate was to take the department digital, and we call it digital first. So everything we do is digital first. And you'll ask yourself, why digital first? Well, in June this year, Nelson Mandela University celebrated the 6th year of its brand. As you know, it's an amalgamation of different universities and technicons, so it's had a few name changes. So we are really in the infancy in terms of developing the brand recognition and equity out in South Africa, onto the continent and abroad. So I arrived in August 2019 and we had to launch this, and along came COVID, which was actually a blessing in disguise because it almost catapulted us directly into the digital age in everything that we did. It's Women's Month, so I haven't heard anybody saying anything about that. I just want to say why it's important to stay ahead in the rapidly evolving digital landscape. Our primary role is to tell the story of Nelson Mandela University and to help students obtain their qualification. Staying ahead in the rapidly evolving digital space is crucial to remaining competitive, meeting our stakeholders' expectations, and capitalizing on emerging opportunities that can drive students' growth and extend our brand. We're currently in the middle of a Women's Day campaign, and that's why I have this here. because I want to play this for you, but just to give you some context, we are profiling the management both in the professional sphere as well as the academic sphere within the university, and it goes out on all our digital portfolios. Now, if you heard Sheila speaking on the first day, she was talking about getting your professionals out there, your academics out there, creating credibility and being known, and so this is what we've done. This was my particular video that I will share with you now. Happy Women's Month, colleagues. I'm Chantal Janneke, Senior Director of Communication and Marketing at Nelson Mandela University. It is with great pleasure that I share with you a glimpse into my role and the remarkable journey we're embarking upon at this prestigious institution. At Nelson Mandela University, we are driven by a collective mission to foster excellence in education, research, and community engagement. As the Senior Director of Communication and Marketing, my responsibilities are deeply intertwined with this mission. I am entrusted with the vital task of shaping the university's image, conveying its achievements, and fostering meaningful connections with our diverse stakeholders. Communication lies at the heart of everything we do. In a world defined by rapid change and interconnectedness, effective communication is the bridge that brings our vision to life. My team and I work tirelessly to tell the stories that define us, stories of innovation, impact, and empowerment. Through strategic messaging, engaging campaigns, and dynamic content, we amplify the voices of our students, faculty, and staff who make Nelson Mandela University a hub of knowledge and inspiration. Marketing, too, plays a pivotal role in our journey. It is not just about selling a product. It's about promoting a transformative experience that is a Nelson Mandela University education. From attracting top-tier talent to our academic programs, to showcasing our groundbreaking research, our marketing efforts are a reflection of our commitment to creating a brighter future for all. But our responsibilities extend beyond the boundaries of our campus. As an institution deeply rooted in our local and global communities, we are dedicated to making a difference beyond our walls. Whether it's collaborating with industry partners, contributing to social development, or addressing pressing global challenges, our communication and marketing strategies are vehicles through which we drive positive change. In the digital age, the landscape of communication and marketing is ever evolving. We embrace this dynamism, leveraging new technologies and platforms to reach wider audiences and to tell our stories in more innovative ways. We're not just adapting to change, we're leading it. As we look to the future, I am inspired by the legacy of Nelson Mandela himself, a visionary leader who believed in the power of education, dialogue, and understanding. It is my privilege to channel his spirit into our communication and marketing efforts, ensuring that every message we convey resonates with his ideals of unity, compassion, and progress. In closing, I invite you to join us on this remarkable journey. Let us collaborate, communicate, and create a brighter tomorrow for Nelson Mandela University and the world at large. Together, we will shape narratives, build bridges, and inspire generations to come. I thank you. Thank you, colleagues. So this is just an example of one of the digital first tools that we use to get our professional and academic staff out there to create credibility for the work that we do.
I'm actually glad that I'm speaking on the last day because a lot of people have spoken about the credibility of messaging. They've spoken about building relationships. They've spoken about the product being our students and how we integrate this into the marketing and communication campaigns that we drive. So the agenda today is we're going to look at digital transformation, key trends shaping the future, building a strong digital presence, data-driven marketing, harnessing social media, influencer marketing, interactive content and gamification, as well as the ethical considerations and data privacy. You'll see a lot of this has been touched on in previous colleagues that have spoken. So starting with digital transformation, we look at what is digital transformation. It is essentially involves integrating digital technology into all business areas, fundamentally changing operations and the customer value delivery. It goes beyond implementing just new technology. It requires rethinking of processes and particularly experiences to create an innovative and agile culture that keeps pace with change. Moving on, the impact of digitalization. We look at how it's revolutionized communication and marketing by expanding the reach and accessibility of brands to global audiences. I can give you an example here. COVID was 2020, and our traditional student recruitment marketing was to go to schools and open days, and we'd meet essentially tens, maybe 20,000 of pupils and parents. And we took our campaign online, and I will show you the stats later, that converted to millions in terms of viewership. But we use a tool called Sprout Social that actually is an independent tool, and it's very credible, so it can tell us where the message has landed and who has read it. So it's very targeted in terms of our audience. It enables real-time interactions and personalized experiences for stakeholders. Yesterday, one of the speakers, I think it was Sheila, spoke about personalized experiences and not just putting out funding proposals to everybody that doesn't speak to their personal needs. It has completely disrupted traditional marketing challenges, shifting focus towards online platforms, data-driven strategies, and engagement through social media, fostering more direct and target communication between us and our stakeholders. Shifts in stakeholder behavior and expectations. We look at the increased reliance on digital channels. We have expectations of personalized experiences. There's a shift towards mobile-first consumption, and we've done research on this, and one of the tools that people use most in terms of the internet and the digital age is mobile technology. The growth of user-generated content, and obviously the heightened expectation of customer service and support. So people want instant responses. They don't want to wait for weeks before they get a response to their queries. Moving on and looking at the need for higher education institutions to adapt to these changes, we have a competitive landscape. Since COVID, as we know, a lot of the higher education institutions have gone online, so you can study anywhere in the world. You don't have to be in Cape Town to be studying at a university here. We look at the student expectations. They're now very digital savvy students, expect online resources, interactive experiences, and seamless digital platforms, effective communication. We look at data-driven decision-making. Again, that was something that came up in one of the past presentations, where we're looking at adapting to digital transformation, which enables data-driven decisions, personalized experience, and targeted marketing. This diagram is very key. So in December 2019, we restructured the communication and marketing department As you can see, it's not traditional in terms of hierarchy. It's a matrix structure. What we do is we have client requests for assistance. We will either come from the faculty or a division, and we will choose a project lead. They'll put together the comms plan, and then it will all be put into play. But just to give you more of an insight here, we have several divisions within the Communication and Marketing Directorate. We have communication, where the focus is writing op-eds, publications, memos, event management, and obviously the focus is both internal as well as external. We have marketing, where they deal with advertising, paper, online, radio, billboards, branding, and of course our corporate identity, which we are striving to extend our footprint, particularly into Africa, because with the riots that we had in 2015, 2017, our international student numbers declined tremendously. If we look at student recruitment, we have the Deputy Director here, Ryan Pillay, and that's specialized campaigns. That's Joanne Daniel. She's not with us today. Specialized campaigns for admissions, registrations, internationalization, as well as academic support. We have media relations. I think you all understand what that is. And of course, Ryan Pillay is arts, culture, and heritage, where we look at performance, music, video recordings, interviews, storyboards, and you think, what has that got to do with communication and marketing? It's got to do with the culture and the values that we're trying to engender within Nelson Mandela University. It's got to look at naming and renaming, where we are trying to change the names to align with our students' needs and wants of today. And we also look at signs and symbols and archiving of key information. And then in the center, we have the key to this strategy, which is the Digital Communication and Marketing Division, which is under Tom Hilmer here, sitting in front of me, and they deal with graphic design, social media management, news events, websites, webinars, analytics, and so forth. So how does this work? Everything that we do goes online. You would say yes, but Chantal, you're in the Eastern Cape and a lot of your students are in the rural areas. They are. So if we look at our print ratio, we have a 70-30 print ratio, where 70% of everything that we publish goes online and 30% of it we print because it needs to go out to the schools or to audiences who need the information. Looking at key trends shaping the future, we have emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, which we've spoken about, virtual reality and augmented reality, which enhance our education communication by personalizing interactions, offering immersive experiences, and leveraging innovative content delivery methods. In marketing, they enable digital-driven insights and captivating experiences that resonate with digital-savvy students. Continuing, we look at artificial intelligence. Again, that ties into the presentation we had earlier, and I'm not going to go into too much detail there because it was discussed. We have the chatbots. As I said to you, my biography was written in 2 seconds. And we just tweaked it to our liking to add a personal touch. We have personalized recommendations in terms of algorithms can analyze students' academic interests and browsing history to recommend relevant courses, programs, and resources. We have admission processes that can be adapted to IA, and then we have visual assistance. We also have what we call visual reality. So we use campus tours. If people want to have a look at our campus, they don't have to come to Gqeberha to have a look at our campus. They can go online and have a tour. They can look at our exhibitions, and I've got an example that I can show to you later. The same with field trips, as well as our medical school. I will show you the VR stimulation equipment that we have for surgical training, providing hands-on experience in a risk-free environment. And then, of course, there's architecture and design, where students in architecture and design programs can use virtual reality to visualize and interact with their creations in 3D. Augmented reality, interactive brochures where you can actually go online and it looks as though you're physically paging through the brochure or the booklet. We have lab simulations where science programs can use augmented reality to provide virtual lab experiences, allowing students to conduct experiments in augmented environment. We have historical tours where historical departments can offer the AR-enhanced historical tours on campus, bringing historical events to life through interactive storytelling. And then we have language learning apps. This is an example of the anatomage visual dissections table that we use in our medical school. So instead of us using a Godiva where you actually have a dead body in front of you and you've got to dissect it, we use these where it's a whole body and you tap the screen and it takes you down to different levels in the body, which exposes the medical students, you know, in a safer environment where they're not so exposed to something that they're not used to. And obviously you can't make a mistake because you just go back if there's something that you haven't done correctly. Key trends in shaping the future. Here we have an example of the Dr. Brigalia Bam archive exhibition, and this is an interactive virtual tour, and this falls under arts, culture, and heritage. So you don't have to be at the actual tour. You can go online and you can have a look at what it looks like. I'm just allowing this to explore on its own, but if you wanted to look at specific items, you could just direct your arrow to get a closer look at whatever it is that you would be interested in. I'm going to move on. So building a strong digital presence, how do we do this? A robust online presence is vital for higher education institutions to remain competitive and relevant in the digital age. We learned this during COVID, where we really became leaders in terms of information on COVID-19. And we partnered with the health department, DHET, to collate all this information, and it was, we actually received an award for it, which you will see later. It serves as a primary gateway for prospective students, staff, and partners to engage with the institution. An effective online presence establishes credibility. This word came up a lot yesterday when you're looking for donors. They want to know how credible you are, fostering transparency, and it enables seamless communication. Moving on, we look at websites, social media channels, and mobile applications. We all make use of these technologies, but you really need to have a well-designed website which acts as a visual campus, showcasing programs, facilities, faculties, and student life. It should be intuitive, responsive, and accessible, providing an immersive experience that resonates with the visitor. The mobile applications offer easy access to campus resources, course material, schedules, and notifications. They enhance the student experience and streamline communication. Yesterday we were talking about student life and how do we make their lives easier. In the application of the digital first approach, there is so much that we can do in enhancing this student experience. Strategies for creating compelling digital content, storytelling, sharing impactful student stories, faculty achievements, and alumni success stories to create an emotional connection. It's that emotional connection that gets people coming back to look at your site more. The visual content, high-use quality images, videos, and infographics to make content visually appealing and engaging. We look at educational resources. This offers valuable resources such as ebooks, webinars, and research papers that showcase the institution's expertise. Interactive content, quizzes, polls, and interactive maps encourage active participation and keep users engaged. The next slide, we look at user-centric design in terms of optimizing the user experience by prioritizing user experience by ensuring content is easy to find and navigate. Navigation is intuitive across various devices. We look at mobile responsiveness. Is your website and your mobile app compatible? Are you seeing the same information when you use the two? Websites and applications should be mobile friendly to accommodate the growing number of users accessing content on smartphones and tablets. Fast loading times. Obviously, we don't want to get people frustrated and they abandon the site. And then we need feedback mechanisms so that we know what is it that we need to improve on going forward in terms of the student or the stakeholder experience. This slide, building a strong digital presence, actually shows how, for example, we have a story. Let's say we have an op-ed on NSFAS. There was an article in the Sunday Times on this Sunday. We put it on our internal email, it goes on our staff portal, we put it on all the portals that are relevant, depending what it is. If it's the Research and Innovation Report, it will go on the Research Mandela portal, Innovative Mandela, Science Mandela, News Mandela, and then we will then look at what is relevant, pull threads from there and put it out on Facebook. X was Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then the digital first approach does not neglect those who may not have connectivity, like I said earlier, but it simply adapts the original printed content and materials for sharing on its social media platforms, including websites, and its expanded reach. So we still do print material, but much less than we would ordinarily do. This is just an example of our university apps. I know all of you have these as well. Data-driven marketing. The value of data analytics is understanding target audiences. So we don't send the message out, one message out to everybody. We actually target our messages for specific target audiences. Data analytics enable higher education institutions to gain deep insights into the behaviors, preferences, and demographics of their target audiences. By analyzing data from website visits, social media interactions, and past enrollments, institutions can create accurate student personas, enabling more effective communication and content tailored to their interests. Looking at the use of the CRM, Customer Relations Management System, and marketing automation, we look at CRM systems which allow institutions to centralize and manage student data, facilitating personalized communication. Marketing automation tools can then also utilize this data to trigger targeted messages at key touch points, nurturing, leading, and guiding students through the enrollment process. This automation streamlines communication and ensures consistent engagement. Moving on, we look at segmentation, personalization, behavioral triggers, and optimization. So this is all the information that we can pick up from the leveraging data to personalize message and improve marketing. This is a very interesting example that we have. So in 2021, we launched our very first international digital campaign for student recruitment into Africa. It was a call to action. It wasn't a call to action, it was an awareness campaign. So in 2021, an initial brand awareness campaign into Africa indicated that YouTube proved to be the most successful and engaging of the social media platforms in most of the countries targeted. Based on this finding, in 2022, a highly successful follow-up campaign was run, focusing on using just YouTube and Google display and Google search to drive traffic to our website. So I just want to show you here. It might not be too clear to you, but YouTube was obviously the YouTube campaign. The views were just under 1 million, the impressions were just under 6 million, and the conversations were just under 25,000. Countries that were targeted were Kenya, Algeria, Ethiopia, Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Uganda, and South Africa. The total reach of the campaign from a social media perspective in terms of reach was over 3.4 million. So harnessing social media and looking at the impact of social media on communication and marketing, social media has transformed communication and marketing for higher education institutions by providing direct, real-time interactions with students, prospective applicants, alumni, and other wider communities. By understanding the impact of social media, effectively utilizing different platforms, and following best practice for engagement, higher education institutions can cultivate strong online communities, enhance their brand presence, and foster meaningful connections with their target audiences. Moving on and looking at utilizing different platforms effectively. I know we use these technologies every day, but sometimes I'm quite shocked that people don't understand why you would choose a certain platform for a certain audience. So just very quickly, Facebook, it's ideal for sharing news, events, and longer form content like blog posts, and it uses targeted ads to reach specific demographics. X is great for quick updates, event promotions, and sharing timely information, utilizing hashtags and expanding on research and engagement in conversations. Instagram obviously is best for visual storytelling. LinkedIn, valuable for networking and sharing academic research. And YouTube is perfect for hosting video content such as faculty welcoming and public lectures. Best practice for engaging with targeted audience and building communities, consistent posting, two-way communication, visual content, and hashtags. It's also easier in terms of your Sprout Social to trace if you have hashtags with your messaging. Moving on to more best practice for engaging with targeted audience and building communities, we look at user-generated content. We encourage students and alumni to share their experiences, building a sense of community and authenticity. Storytelling, we've covered earlier. Live streaming, like we're doing today, utilizing live videos to showcase campus events, lectures, and behind-the-scenes glimpses. And then we look at community building, creating and manage groups related to specific programs of interest or fostering connections and discussions. Harnessing social media, here I've got more examples. I'm not going to give you the figures here because we're running out of time, but I just want to show you how lively and vibrant our graduations are. So this was our April graduation, and the numbers and the figures are all there if you'd like to see the reach. They were quite phenomenal. I love this map. It's harnessing social media. So basically it is the Nelson Mandela University graduation was mentioned or discussed by 2,500 authors in just over 4,000 messages in 55 countries, resulting in a potential exposure of over 22.3 million followers. And you can see where the blue highlight is that those are where the messages landed in more intensity. Influencer marketing. We spoke about this earlier. Consumers seeking authentic recommendations. We're looking at endorsements, trusted intermediaries by humanizing products, using our students, ensuring influencers align with our values, culture, and audience, and of course the authenticity of the messages, which boosts brand awareness, student and alumni connections. We spoke about campus tours earlier, guest lectures, student stories, research highlights. I'm just going to go through this. This is one of the influencers that we have. It's a student, and she has her own vlog, but we used her to promote vaccination on campus during COVID-19. At the time, she had over 21,000 followers.
Oh, after that, I went to the clinic. So, let me give you a background story about the situation, right? So, the other day, yesterday, when I was coming back from the airport, my Uber driver was there, like, listening to radio. So, he started, like, telling me what they said on the radio. And apparently, there's certain stores that are giving discounts to people who are vaccinated. And so we were both just there like, oh yeah, whatever, and we were being 2-year-olds about the situation, just complaining and whatever. Oh, after that I went.
I just want to go back. So that's quite long, but you can see the messages because it's interactive, it's two-way communication. People are sending messages saying, great, Carol, for spreading the good news. I've been vaccinated. This is more data. We've used Juicy J. For those of you who watch TV, he was on Big Brother and he was one of our influencers. The reach here, we look at video views was 366,000. Impressions was 1.8 million. There's 4 there, so I'm just going to screen through them. You can look at the presentation later. Interactive content and gamification, the power of interactive content and gamification. We look at interactive content and gamification hold exceptional potential in capturing attention and boosting engagement. By transforming passive observers into active participants, they create immersive experiences that resonate strongly with modern audiences in the digital age. Incorporating quizzes, contests, interactive videos, and mobile apps leverage the psychology of engagement and reward. This I've mentioned previously, so I'm not going to go into it into any great depth. This is actually very interesting. We have an interactive content and gamification app. So Nelson Mandela University's Fish Force Academy recently introduced a virtual law enforcement game to assist law enforcement officers in the fisheries crime environment. The game is mobile-based and available on all smartphones. The game features a virtual simulation environment in inspecting a fishing vessel to ensure compliance with the Port State Measures Agreement. So you can actually, on your mobile phone, report people that are busy with any illegal fishing activities. Ethical considerations, again, we spoke about that earlier. The whole issue of credibility, trust, upholding the reputation, being respectful, transparent, interactive, data privacy and compliance with PAPAIA, and cultivating trust and integrity in terms of your digital marketing efforts. Moving on to clear communication, honesty, consent, and secure data handling, hereby the implementation of robust security measures to safeguard user data from breaches or unauthorized access. We look at engagement with integrity, accountability, and being responsible for the use of AI. Victor picked up on this yesterday when he gave this particular presentation. If utilizing AI for personalized content, we need to ensure transparency about data usage and respect for user preferences. In terms of privacy statements on our websites, we all comply with a similar type of ethical consideration in terms of data privacy. And in conclusion, we embrace digital transformation in higher education, the digital age impact, rapid changes in technology, redefine communication and marketing strategies. There's adaptation is key. Higher education institutions must evolve to stay competitive and relevant. Key strategies: utilize data analytics, engage through social media, and explore emerging technologies. And in terms of unlocking potential, seize opportunities offered by AI, VR, AR, and social media. In terms of reaping the rewards, in 2020, this is an international award, the Digital Communication Awards. We got third prize for Nelson Mandela University Digital First campaign. It was the COVID-19 internal campaign. 2021, we received a bronze award in conjunction with Statitude, who is one of our agencies which we deal with for student recruitment. And in 2022, we received another Digital Communication Award, and this was for a live graduation. That was a hit with students, and it was for the smallest budget category. And finally, the future is digital. Embrace the digital revolution in higher education. Harness its power to reach, engage, and inspire the next generation of graduations. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Chantel. Colleagues, we'll take 3 questions first, and then we'll see how we're doing for time. Mics.
Hi Chantal, thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask a particular question on influencer marketing. Just in terms of how do you identify the influencers? Is it with an agency? Do you pay them? What type of contracts do you have with them? Just if you can elaborate more around how that happened and how many you have per annum, and are you going to continue using it? And has there been any risks where an influencer has done something and you had to pull back some of their content off your platforms?
Thank you. That's a very good question. We don't use an agency.
Sorry, Chantal, we'll take 3 and then...
Oh, okay, sure.
Hi, Chantal. My question is for you, and I guess for all the colleagues. I'm just interested, because I saw you tracked social media usage. So I just wanted to check if you do track your web usage, like the stories and videos that you put into your web, and what do you use for that? Thanks.
One more question.
Hi there, I'm Lynette from Phoenix, so I'm not from a university. I am super impressed with the extent of your digital and mobile apps to connect with students and so forth. So I was just interested, because a lot of the opportunity lies with partnerships. So we are crowdfunding a platform and also a bursary program management support for our students. Where in the space of your digital landscape, your assets, is there an opportunity to partner with, someone like Phoenix? I think it's exciting, it's like a plug and play, and there's so much, information, there's so many opportunities we want to share with students. So just interested to see where you see the opportunity in that landscape.
Sure, thank you for those questions. Okay, so the first question, we don't work with agencies. That's why you'll see one of the awards we won was for a small budget. We have a very small budget, so we've got to be very agile and innovative. We look at our students and we see who is active on X or on the different platforms. We identify ones that are more responsible in terms of the messages that they are putting out. We look at their followership, and then we see how we can incorporate our messages in between what they are already doing. So it's not specifically for us. And yes, we do pay them. We haven't had any risks in the past because it's not live, it's all recorded, and then we can actually censor whatever's been said if it's not in alignment with our messaging before we publish and go live. The next question was, how do we track our websites? Am I correct? Yes, so I mentioned we use Google Analytics and Sprout Social. These are two analytic tools that we use, so we can tell exactly who's looking at our websites, where, what messages are landing, and that map that I showed you of the globe that had different shades of blue. So we can see where in the world, which countries the messages are landing, and then we know what it is that people want to hear more of, so then we bump up that information. So it's a very, analytics is a hugely successful tool. After every event that we have, Tom will put together a report and we'll give it back to the client to say these were the key messages that we agreed on, this is where they landed, these were the audiences, and if we should have another event, we then use that as a baseline for the next event so that we build on that. Measurement is always very crucial for us in terms of everything that we do, and that's why going with the digital first approach and having the analytics that is independent and credible and talks to what we've done in terms of it being either successful or not. What was the third question?
The third one is, how do you fit in partners into your digital platform?
Partners. So we partner with everybody within the university, and even if it's outside of the university. The Nelson Mandela Foundation, for example, we partner with them on Mandela Day. We have campaigns that we put together. So if we have a shared interest in something, there's no reason why we don't partner. We actually prefer to partner with other people because it's cheaper. From a budget perspective, you have more resources that you can leverage and more context in terms of your media to get the message out there. I don't know if Prim sitting behind you wants to talk about the giving campaign. We have a giving campaign that she's sitting on. Prim is our Director of Communication and Marketing, and she's been working with our advancement office in terms of raising funds for the giving campaign, and she can tell you all the people that we've partnered with. I don't know if you want to give Prim a mic with the green jacket on, please. Thank you.
Hi, thanks Chantal. So we launched this giving campaign on 3rd July, and it was endorsed by the Mandela Foundation, so we work closely with them, and we were trying to fundraise about 30 million rand over a few years for 4 projects, and it's got to do with student hunger, community kitchens, bursaries, and a greenhouse project that the TVET students get real life experience in terms of plumbing and being an electrician. And they build this greenhouse, and then it helps with food security. So we came up with a social media campaign, a countdown to the campaign, and we also had an opinion piece written under the name of Prof. Andre Kiert, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Engagement and Transformation, and what it means to be an engaged university, where we go out into communities that we serve and we try to find out what their challenges are, and with them co-create solutions. And that was published. It was written it wasn't written in a very advertorial way. It was hard. It was like it took a strong stance that universities should roll up their hands and their hands should get dirty, and that many universities take engagement seriously while others don't. And engagement is the 3rd mission of a university, and it's unfunded. And that was published in University World News, Africa, and then it was published in the global edition. And the campaign went global. And then we just try to set up radio and TV interviews, and we're still continuing with the campaign because it's a continuum, and we're trying to encourage people to donate. And then in November, we're launching Giving Tuesday. And we've got to look at the location of our campus. We've got indigent students. Student hunger is an issue across the country, and we encourage people to give. So we've been on TV, print media, and we're trying more. Thanks.
Okay, colleagues, we've still got some time to take 3 more questions. So are there any other questions?
I'm Machtel Pretorius from Stellenbosch University's Division for Student Recruitment, and I think one of our questions always relates back to the return on investment on your on campaigns and student recruitment campaigns in particular. So obviously the dilemma with student recruitment in the undergraduate market is the collection of proper data for under 18s and papaya and everything that comes with that, and segmenting your audience. But I think the one thing that I'd want to ask is, if you do your campaigns, are you focusing purely on awareness campaigns, or do you actually track it through to applications to see that further return on investment? If you do, and if you do so, how do you do it?
Okay, so we have 2 we're going to give more.
Oh, thank you. Perhaps I'm making some kind of a follow-up to the question that the lady asked about the influencers. The issue of influencers is huge, and is coming fast and tight in the space of marketing and communication. Perhaps we need a whole presentation around the issue of influencers in marketing. But I was just looking at the influencer that you were using there for vaccination and stuff like that. The lady was live, and there was interaction, there was no script. How do you make sure that the person that is trying to push your campaign without script, responding to questions, that he or she does not go out of script and perhaps say things that might not be favorable to your campaign? Thank you.
Okay, one more question. Last question for the day. Going once, going twice, gone.
Okay, so the question here was? Okay, recruitment campaigns. So we have, like I said, an awareness campaign in terms of what the university is offering, and we put that out between December and February, especially the quiet time in December, because nothing's happening, and we know that every day that's up there and it's active, so we've got something going. And then later in the year, we have a call to action campaign where we can actually see where we've converted students that interacted with the call to action and were confirmed into applications. Last year, for example, we were looking at just over 7,000 students that we needed, and we registered more than that. We had to actually turn students down. We had residences, not enough residents to offer. Our classrooms are full, so it actually caused a problem because the recruitment drive was so good. So this year we have put steps in place so that we really manage our intake, and we are more selective in terms of what we do. So we can see, and also we have found that our budgets are much smaller for digital campaigns than they are for driving out and going into different areas and having much smaller groups. So we're reaching much larger target audiences with a smaller budget.
The second one was, how do you ensure the quality of unscripted messages from influencers?
Yes, I see Ryan's very excited there to respond to that question. So Mr. Pillay up there, he handles a lot of our videos.
Okay, yes, thank you. You want to
you want to keep the authenticity of an influencer, but at the same time you want to protect your brand, and you want the central narrative to carry through. So it's a balancing act. In this case, Carol Damini would have met with us, and then we share what our content is. I almost present it to her, and for her then to see what she wishes to absorb from it and so on. She goes away and has full integrity and carte blanche to make her video how she wishes to, because that's why you have chosen to work with her. Fortunately, the video is not live. It's pre-recorded, it's uploaded, so the chat is happening live. So she does not have to interface or interact with subscribers to the university's YouTube channel. And there's a lot of links that when we post it, we post those links. That's was specifically around student vaccinations and engagement around COVID and a return to campus. So yes, you have to have sessions with the influencer. We are fortunate in that Carol's following was not as big as what other influencers were. I think the colleague earlier on asked about how do we contract, and so we use the student code of conduct as well to form part of that, and then we have a particular supplier contract as well, because she then becomes a vendor. But no, it's not scripted, but in a way it is subliminally scripted, because I give her the text and we workshop with it. I don't put words in her mouth, but I do put words in her mouth.
The aim is to keep the message credible, so that it's coming independently from a third source and not directly from us.
Chantel, thank you for sharing your very impressive, innovative digital tools with us. And we are specifically impressed that you do it in-house. And I like the idea that you say with small budgets, because some universities work with big budgets, and I like the fact that you say that you do it in-house with small budgets. And we're also particularly impressed with the teamwork, that you don't answer on your own, but that you include your team. So thank you for that, and well done. At Mace, I want to say that we have also transformed digitally. I remember a number of years ago, we had a Mace Congress at the Nelson Mandela University. And at that point in time, the gifts for the guest speakers were like huge ceramic plates that they had to fly with. So we no longer have the big boxes full of gifts. It's in a small form. Interesting enough, it's in the form of a check. In the olden days. So your gift will be emailed to you, as you already know, so enjoy the online shopping. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, colleagues, I think that brings us to the end of this Directors Symposium. I just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to basically control the proceedings of the event, but I hope I've given you enough space to be able to speak freely, and even though I had my little restrictions on the length of your questions, it wasn't meant to be bad. It was just to ensure that we get as many questions in as possible. But it certainly has been a very inspiring 2 days. We've learned from experts in various fields of marketing advancement and communications, and I think the most important is that we have started dialogues, we have started discussions, and that is what the purpose of these events are for. It would be remiss of me if I didn't mention the fact that the Excellence Awards are going to be hosted at the University of the Western Cape. Yes, University of the Western Cape. Okay, and also known as UWs. So we're going to look forward to having you when the weather is much better than it is at the moment. For those of you who are going to be spending the weekend in Cape Town, just to alert you to the fact that tomorrow is probably going to be some heavy rain and nasty weather. So please get some warm clothing if you don't have it. I'm not going to say which pharmacy chain you should be looking at, but nevertheless, they do have wonderful thermal things that you could buy. But once again, thank you very much for joining us in the Ferris Cape. Travel safely, and I'm going to hand over to Sylvanus to conclude proceedings.
Thank you, Prof. Colleagues, yes, as Anesh said, we came to an end of the 2 days, and I think it was a successful 2 days. It was quite insightful. It was, I would say, worth it and definitely value for our time coming here. So I just want a few announcements, and then basically we can call it a day. First, I'd like to say thank you to CPUT, Dr. Van Gensen there at the back, and Kathy and his team, you know, for allowing us and availing the space, for hosting us. In fact, I spoke to the students last night that prepared the food for us. Really, really, really good quality, excellent food. I mean, for first years, they really outdid themselves, and please do convey our message to them. Yes, also to your technical team, to Kurt right next to me. Thank you, and your colleague, I don't see him now, but please do also convey, oh, is he there? Okay, he's waving there at the back. Thank you so much, Clifford, as well, for supporting us technically. You guys were really on point. There were no delays that I have noticed, so well done on that. Millennium, they are outside busy, doing background logistics, but they are a long-standing partner of Mace, and we really want to extend appreciation to them as well. Angela and Stephanie that made all the logistical arrangements for our presenters as well. To the presenters, for those who are here, thank you and very well done. I think many of us took things away from the presentations that were made over the 2 days, and we really do appreciate it. I know I've received quite a few, before I move to the other things, the facilitator, Prof. Anesh Singh, from UDAPS, as he said. Thank you very much for facilitating the project, I almost said the project, the program. And very well done. I think we stuck to time, and when there were a bit of a delays, we kind of caught up. I liked how your academic side came in occasionally to just bring us back on track, so no need to apologize on that. Yes, and then I've received quite a few questions with regards to the presentations and the pictures and things like that. So the presentations will be available, which is what we always do, on the Mace website. Obviously, for those presenters who feel comfortable with sharing their presentations, we will do so. Otherwise, I know in the past that some presenters feel that they are willing to share it on a one-on-one request basis. So if you do have a request, I'll pass it on to some of the presenters, and then they can use their discretion if they want to share it or not for their own good reasons. So that will be on the presentations. Photos, Stefan, thank you very much as well for availing yourself, traveling from Stellenbosch to come and take pictures here. Very efficient, good quality pictures. And when I say efficient, I mean like as he takes the pictures, it gets edited. I've been receiving the links for the pictures already, so it's kind of ready. We will also just load that onto the Mace website to make sure that everybody have access to that. Also on our Facebook page, so if you haven't followed or liked the Mace Facebook page, please do so, to also get some updates there as well. The 2 days has been streamed as well on YouTube, so the links will also be there on the Mace website. Otherwise, you can just directly go to YouTube, search CPUT, and you will also have access to the links there. Anesh did mention about the Conference and Excellence Awards. Just to maybe reiterate that, 15-16 November, it will be here in the Western Cape, at the University of the Western Cape, and we look forward to fantastic, I know Anesh is good at hosting in general, so we really look forward to him and his team to just facilitate that for us as well. And also thank you in advance for agreeing to and volunteering to host us for that. And lastly, there is a webinar, Dr. Pumzile Mope, the end of this month. So the link has been shared today. So please, when you do have the time, log in and there's lots to learn. There will also be another webinar building up towards the Excellence Awards, once again from Business DNA, Dr. Amanda, that was here, to once again just, especially the colleagues who do the actual work, the groundwork when it comes to filling in the entries and so doing that. So it's to really just equip them and capacitate them and give them all the answers to their questions what the entries are concerned. Please do enter, encourage your teams when you go back. There is quite a bit of interest this year as opposed to last. Last year we had lots of entries as well, and this year it seems to be almost going towards almost double or half of last year. So people are definitely excited about the entries, and there are, in fact, based on the presentations I've seen over the 2 days, there are definitely things that can be entered that I already see is outstanding work that you are doing at your institution. So well done to that. Finally, thank you to the Mace board for assisting to get this together. It's not easy to get speakers. It's not easy to put programs together. I know some people already ask, what is the end of the year's program looking like? So we have a skeleton, but it needs to be populated. Let me put it that way. And also, from a Mace board perspective or request, remember, as a board, we are doing this voluntarily, and we have to let Mace, go on, because I think it adds value to the work we do. But at the same time, we don't own it. It belongs to everyone sitting here. So please do drop suggestions, pick up the phone, send a WhatsApp, send an email. If you think there's anything that you feel Mace can add more value to the work you do in your spaces, we're open for such things. Obviously, we can't keep everybody happy as well. We also have mainstream day jobs that is demanding. So by all means, please do participate towards the planning, ideas, suggestions. If you have great speakers that you'd like to see on the program and you have access to them, also to use your networks and channels so that we can get those people to participate. Colleagues, lunch. Kathy, lunch. Okay, so lunch will be served just outside where we had lunch yesterday. Do travel safe, enjoy your time. Those who are staying in Cape Town, despite the weather, just make sure you don't get blown away, but have a good time.